Ooh, boy, does that intro get me fired up every single time. Awesome. I love it. Guys, we're here tonight for Total Disclosure Live. And tonight's guest is Sal Amato. He is a storyteller, a media pioneer, an actor, a producer, novelist, and one of the rare people whose career has spanned the worlds of entertainment, technology, broadcasting, and digital media for nearly 5 decades. And from appearing in films and television shows like My Best Friend's Wedding, While You Were Sleeping, Chicago Fire, The Big Leap, to becoming one of the earliest innovators in internet radio and streaming technology, Sal has been consistently ahead of the curve. You could argue that what we're doing here originated with what they did in 1997. So today, he's bringing those experiences into the world of fiction with his novels, Hidden Powers, Disclosure from Within, a story that explores influence, power, perception, the unseen systems operating behind the curtain of modern society, almost like The Wizard of Oz. You peek behind the curtain, and it's not what you thought. Whether he's producing media or preserving history, writing stories, or challenging conventional narratives, Sal has spent a lifetime asking questions that most of us never really think to ask. Please welcome my friend, Sal Amato, to Total Disclosure.
Oh, that
Sal,
was a nice intro. Thank you. My
of
God,
course.
I feel so important. Ooh,
I want you to feel important.
thank you. I appreciate that.
That's the
Thank you.
whole thing, right? Right.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's a lot going on right now in the world of disclosure. We'll get to all that, of course. But can you give the audience a little bit of a brief background? I know I did the intro and touched on a few things, but a little bit of a background on just, what your expertise is in and how you made your way into the field of the unknown.
Well, I was always curious about, and writing was always something that was in me, even in grammar school, when a teacher would say, okay, we want, you got to do me 1 page on Australia, and I'd give her 45 pages on Australia. Because, once you're, the creative side kicks in and you start writing, you keep writing and you keep writing. And by the time I got into high school, one of the high schools, I went to 5 and got thrown out of, I think, 3. Not because I was a bad kid, because I questioned the idiots that were in charge of educating us. And majority of them, they were all making money. I don't know how or why. But anyways,
Right.
my drama teacher, 1982, I was at Whitney Young High School in Chicago. Mrs. Carter, one of the few teachers who really cared about us. She was a wonderful soul. She had said, hey, you look like a hoodlum. They're casting for a movie. You should go audition for it. And I had already, my mom did jingles. So I had already,
You look like a hoodlum.
Yeah, could you imagine a teacher saying that to a kid today? Oh my God, the families were going nuts. Oh my, you offended my son. Here we're looking and go, yeah, okay, I look like a hoodlum. I had like a mustache by the time I was in 5th grade. By the time I was 12, the beard was coming in.
Oh,
So junior year in high school, I had a full beard, mustache, and I was DJing, working nightclubs. I looked like I was 30. Nobody knew I was 16. So I went and auditioned. It was the Getty's agency. I went and auditioned for Bad Boys. It was a movie with Sean Penn, Esai Morales, Clancy Brown, Jim Moody, Dean Fortunato, a bunch of other actors who came out, Ali Sheedy. And I got real close with Sean when we were shooting, including Jason Gedrick. Jason's from here in Chicago, and Jason moved to the West Coast. The story was that Sean said, look, you guys should move to California. You'll get more work. And I was like, no, I'm doing good here, man. Thanks. Well, Jason took him up and moved to California within the year. And Jason had a pretty decent career out there in Hollywood. So from that, I got into radio, got into broadcasting, kept acting, was doing commercials, was doing radio mixes on radio shows, still DJing nightclubs. Not really getting successful in anything, but being there and gathering like a sponge knowledge, and got into the record industry, record business, and got into the internet. Actually, by 88, I was online, starting to understand technology and how it worked. Still writing, still acting through all of this, having the tentacles and everything you can, because you got to keep the balls in the air. You never know when one's going to hit. And in the 90s, I was knee deep in technology, went to war with Mark Cuban and lost.
Oh, man.
But good for him. And
Right?
still trying, still going, still trying to say, you set these goals for yourself, and I'm never happy. To me, I feel like I haven't gotten where I want to go yet. I haven't gotten to that point. And people, oh, you did this. I said, yeah, but I don't have any satisfaction. It looks great for other people, but for me, for the way I operate, I'm not happy with any of it. I haven't gotten where I want to go, or where I want to be. So I started writing again deeply in 2024, 2025. Wrote a show called Bakers and the Burbs. That's an animated, that's going to a vertical drama network. Wrote a show called The Outfit, found out it got stolen, wound up on a network. So I'm reproducing it the way it was originally written. And that's going to a vertical drama network that's called Joe Caroselli. And it's about a mob boss who did 20 years in jail, gets out of jail, and he's very bitter, very angry, because all the politicians that he helped along the way have all had a wonderful life. They're getting close to retirement. He's coming out of the joint. He's got nothing. So he's, in his mind, they're going to collect. He's going to collect. And in the middle of all that, I was writing and researching Hidden Powers Disclosure from Within. And that was always my baby in my head since I was a kid. I know you're a little younger than me, but years ago there was a movie called Chariots of the Gods. It was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Right. Book, then became a movie.
Von Daniken. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was intrigued. Not only that, but just Close Encounters was an amazing story. Contact is one of those movies that still
holds up.
The scene with Jodie Foster and her father, I get a tear in my eye just thinking, because that's what you hope is there. I mean, we were talking earlier about questions and people watching, they're curious. I'm just like everybody else. I have questions. I'm curious. I have a real soft spot about certain things. And movies like that, Independence Day to me was like a bad comedy. I don't. Yeah, I mean, it was laugh funny, and I love Jeff Goldblum. There's nothing that, even in Thank God It's Friday, he was the best part of the movie. Other than Donna
I'm actually a
Summer.
huge Will Smith fan. I know that's an unpopular
opinion.
He
does good work,
but he's a great actor.
Yeah, he does good work, man. He can't take that away from him. I don't have to hump his leg or worship the guy.
He just has a crazy wife that's like,
well, who knows? He might
banging his son's friends.
Sure, I mean, again, we don't know anything about these people other than what marketed. But I don't know what goes on behind. I know you do good work. Okay, that's where it ends. And my life, if I never saw another Will Smith movie or another Cary Grant movie, my life will be fine. I'll be okay. These aren't things that are a necessity in my life. However, I admire achievements. I don't worship people, but I admire achievements. One
of the, and I'm sorry to interject here.
Okay.
But if I feel like if I don't say it now, I'll probably forget it because we're going to get into some deep stuff. But isn't it weird? Our ancestors, and like I said, this is a very fitting, it's not just a out of left field question here, but isn't it weirdly odd that so our ancient cultures, our ancestors, all the way up through 1920s, 1930s, I think was the first 1930s, I think was the first real celebrity, someone who transcended, I forget what his name is, but he was a musician. He ended up going missing actually in a weird plane thing during World War II. But we now put actors and actresses, we elevate them to the level that our ancestors like spoke about the gods. Like when Justin Bieber walks into a place, like there's people that are literally fainting. Fainting.
Well,
you know, that would happen when the pharaohs would walk through Egypt, and and it's crazy to me to think that that's where we've gone.
but think about when you look, if you go back into the 20s, right? The silent movie stars, silent movie films. You got Betty Grable, and you got all the stars of Hollywood. Um, and then Sinatra comes along, and Bing Crosby, the Bobby Soxers, and and they're fainting. Elvis comes along.
Yes.
Chuck Berry comes along. Bobby Darin, all these people are all just fainting. And David Cassidy, think about that. In the 70s, David Cassidy, his fan club was bigger than the Beatles. And when you look back at, so people, I don't know, maybe it's just a human trait that people become enamored with the idea of somebody they know nothing about because they're merely entertained by that person.
Right.
And okay, that was, like I tell everybody, that's not me. I mean, I don't put ketchup on my hot dog. My best friend does. I'm not going to hate him for it.
Right.
It's okay. It's just not me, man. I don't get excited. Especially in this industry when I've worked alongside, big name directors and producers. And I mean, even when I was DJing, I'll share a good story with you.
Okay.
Walter was a wonderful guy. Walter was such a trip. And here in Chicago, Walter Payton, running back for the Bears, he also owned a bunch of nightclubs out in the northwest suburbs of the city. And I was DJing in a club called Safari Club. Walter would come in and he'd say, "Man, you got to come work for me. Come on by, come work by me." I said, "No, man, you guys play way too much white music." I was really deep in the house. This is the '80s, early house, and the WBMX era here in Chicago with the Hot Mix 5, the hot mixes that were scary. New York, they had BLS in New York, and then they had in Boston. You had some of the greatest record guys in the world come out of Boston. Joey Carvello, John Luongo, another phenomenal producer. Gary Canavo ran Mass
That's
Pool out there.
right.
Yeah, I mean, these guys are all icons in the industry. A lot of great people came out of your neck of the woods too in Boston, but here in Chicago, um, I had you had all these celebrities coming in, and then when I became a stockbroker, I had Scottie Pippen, B.J. Armstrong, Horace Grant. They were clients. Other people that were clients, and I would talk to them just like I would talk like ball busting with my friends because the last thing the last thing I ever want to do is worship somebody. And it's just like when I meet somebody, we can either talk like we've known each other for 30 years, or we can act like strangers and just sit real refined with our hands folded and scared to
Right.
death to say anything that might be untoward. I was, I'll joke around, and even when I work on Chicago Fire, I would bust Taylor Kinney's balls, he'd bust my balls, and then you hear them when you're blocking out a shot, you hear them laughing their ass off while they're getting ready to block the shot. You hear them, because we're mic'd up. And I'm like, did you screw that line up? Well, you're a real asshole, aren't you? I mean, look, we just bullshit with each other because at the end of the day, you're just another person. You may have, there's things that, everybody's really good at something and everybody's really stupid. I don't care who they are. I guarantee you, Albert Einstein could not figure out how to transfer a 3/4 inch pneumatic tape to a video file, but he could do a hell of a lot of shit that I probably could never imagine. So everybody's
Of
good and
course.
fun. So everybody's good at something, and there's a lot of things I'm really stupid at, and that's I don't have a monopoly on that. Neither does anybody else.
Right. No, absolutely. And that was very well put. Um, you've spent you spent decades in broadcasting and entertainment, technology and digital media. Um, today, what you're looking at the UFO topic, and what do you think the biggest mistake people make when trying to separate genuine information from manipulation or um, narrative control.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if you can call it a mistake, Ty, because people are so used to being bullshitted and lied to, right? So you get that fatigue factor. People just go, "Ugh, okay, another one. Can we
Ah,
finally?
yeah.
It's like the boy who cried wolf over and over, and a lot of that could be the manipulation that's planted to get to the fatigue factor because you can hide the truth in plain sight.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, I have the hope and the belief, just based on all the bullshit and lies we've seen for 2,000 years as a human. Governments lie, people lie. There's crackpots, there's lunatics, and these crazy bastards that make up
Mm,
these insane stories about UAP, UFO. They don't help the cause.
nope.
They don't help get us any closer to the truth, because those are the people that those who don't want it to be true, or the naysayers, they will focus on those lunatics. They say that person was nuts. That was
Hmm.
it was swamp gas or something. There's
Right.
generally shit out there people have experienced that they can't explain. They weren't on DMT. They weren't smoking weed. They weren't popping pills. They weren't
Right.
doing acid. They were just going about their damn day, and some shit happened to them that they can't answer. So you can't just negate that because you don't want it to be. I go back to the story of 52 when, for 2 weekends in July, there's
Yep.
UFOs all over the place in DC. Tens of thousands of people see this shit. The media reports it. The government comes back and says, this is what it was. This is what you will print. Okay, boss, we'll do that. And then it's gone. Then it's out of there.
Hmm.
Nobody wants to question it. The media, and what I
Well, because
wrote
they
in.
want to retain their relationship with the White House so that they continue to get their
Absolutely.
scoops.
Power,
Yeah.
power. It's about power. And you got to have access to that power. I don't know how important it is to have access to power that's lying to you, though. You know what I mean? Okay, so you're going to use me like some pawn. I'm your bitch, and you're going to puke out bullshit to me so I can go tell other people bullshit so you can look good. And it could all be wrong. So I mean, we don't know what to believe. We don't know what to trust. We don't know who to believe. And everybody needs a point of reference in their life to say, okay, that's the direction I should go. But people become fanatical. Once they become fanatical, they look for people of like minds who share the same ideology due to the conditioning that they've had. And then they form a bond with each other. Just like you got
Yeah.
Yankees fans and Red Sox fans,
Very
Cubs
good
fans,
analogy.
Sox fans. They could both suck ass, but they're still going to worship them. They're still going to be, that's my team, that's my team. And you ask them, well, why is it your team? I don't know. It's just the way it
What
always
did
was.
did
It's
they
my
know
team.
you?
Right.
No.
And this is what happens is that they, especially with the whole UFO and the conspiracy and all this other shit, is they get you to root for a team that isn't necessarily yours, man, because you don't really know the truth. There's a lot of manipulation going on. So all of that is in my head when I'm writing the story. All the friction of the people, of regular people, of military, of religious leaders, the media, and these groups of people who all shape how and what we think at any given moment. The mind is the easiest thing to own, and people don't realize the powers that are out there trying to control what we think. It's not by accident that everything is so polarized, because there is a lot of power trying to control its monopoly on that power.
Absolutely. Do you
And
and I
that's
mean,
how that's how I approached writing the book, anyways. That's my belief, my thought. People may not think that that's fine, but that's how I wrote the book.
right, and that's fair. You've seen how narratives are built from the inside. Do you think that the UFO conversation is being maybe guided organically, or do you think there are groups actively steering public perception?
I think it's a crapshoot, brother. I think there's a lot of all of that happening on it. And I say this to anybody, that Anna Polina Luna got the biggest balls in of anybody in DC, because she's consistently trying, she's doing what she can to at least get to the truth. That's all you want is the truth. Why would you want to base your entire life and existence on a friggin' lie? Get to the
Mm.
truth so we can move forward and make shit better. That's it. That's all you ask for out of life. It's all you want for your girlfriend, your husband, your wife, your kids. Get the truth so I know which way to go to make my life better. And
And
we can never seem to get to that. And it drives me nuts.
right, and it's almost like this. It's almost like kind of being robbed of, because when I stand, and this is obviously going to be kind of like cliche, but when I stand on the mountaintop and I look out into the horizon, right? No one's there with me. And I'm asking myself, what's my place in the cosmos, right? What's my place in the universe? What am I here for? To not know, or to have it been taken, that information taken and compartmentalized and hidden away, that affects the way. Now, I know, I mean, maybe this isn't a good analogy, but this is one of the few subjects that affects every single person, no matter what, whether you're rich, poor, you're gay, you're straight, you're black, you're white, you're Jewish, you're Christian. Like, it affects everybody the same. So what it really comes down to is when you're standing on that mountaintop asking yourself, what is my purpose? To not have the full equation, right? To know that we're part of something bigger, much bigger, I think is a crime, that's a crime against humanity. Um, and that's
That's
my
all.
personal opinion.
And here's the other side of the coin, where because I look at both sides of the coin here with the government and trying to, what if there is no purpose? See, you got to be honest. You can't both. The worst thing you can do in your life is bullshit yourself, man. So I look at it and go, okay, what is like you? I should have said, like, what the hell am I supposed to do here? Or is it just, look, here you are. Good luck. I'll see you on the other side. Get done what you can get done. Or, is the disclosure thing really so bad that it would freak the shit out of people? I don't know. I don't, I really don't know I don't think you can stop what's about to happen if it comes out, if it ever comes out. But like I said, good or bad, you got to be honest. It could be really bad too. What if we are just a bunch of slaves to something? What if we were just dumped here, and we're all part of it? And there's a hierarchy. Even the slaves, even those who own us and control us and manipulate us, are slaves as well. And there's a hierarchy to them.
I've
I don't
heard,
know. These are questions. I don't have any answers. None of us have any of these answers. It would help if we knew, but maybe it might not help if we knew, because then when we just all jump off a bridge and end it, who knows?
well, that's an interesting thing. It's an interesting idea, because so I had Rizwan Verk in studio, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with who Rizwan is, but he's one of the leading guys right now in simulation theory, or the simulation hypothesis.
Mhm.
And I sat here and I asked him, and point blank, because it really kind of like what you just said. I was like, okay, if we are in some sort of simulation, right? My bills still are coming due. I still need food. The food still tastes, steak still tastes like steak. What does it actually change? All we would know is the information that this reality is rendered, you know, and the closest analogy would be like a computer rendering out, because I don't think that it's that simple. I think it's much more complex than that if it is a simulation. Um, but again, it doesn't fundamentally change my life so much that I would just jump off a bridge.
Mhm.
Now, do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I'm like I said, it could go either way. I think we're always better with the truth. I really do. Because look, some people might not handle it that's up to them, man. That's up
Yeah,
to people. That's up to people. You got to deal with shit in your life, whether you like it or not. Not everybody can deal with it, but you can't. Right now, I ain't quite where we're at in life to a pressure cooker. There's
mm,
so much pressure building right now. Somehow, some way, it's got to be let loose, or else it's just going to explode.
it's going to explode. That's catastrophic disclosure.
Yeah, yeah, and
The
it
explosion
hit,
part.
and in a lot of this, again, people pick sides. Whether I don't care what country they're in, you don't know how much you're being manipulated. Yeah, we've gotten to a point now where idiots are babbling incessantly about shit they don't know, and they're regarded as my guy. And then you've got people who have I don't even necessarily have to like them, but they've achieved phenomenal things that are amazing in what their achievement is, and they're being shit upon. It's so backwards and so screwed up. And that is through the power of media, marketing, and those powers that are fighting to own the minds. And when I wrote Hidden Powers Disclosure from Within, a lot of that goes into that, where eventually people figure it out, that some people figure out that, okay, I'm being manipulated, and there's other people who refuse to believe it. Like today, you can show them something and they won't believe it. They just like, again, we go back to a Cubs fan, Sox fan. The Cubs could be in the World Series, up 3 games to none, and a Sox fan will still look at the Cubs fan and say, "Oh, the Cubs still suck. They suck."
Ah,
Well, the Cubs are in the World Series, bro. Same thing with
right.
the Sox. It's off the Sox make the World Series, and they're up 3 games to none, and the Cubs
Yep.
aren't in the series, of course. And the Cubs fan says the White Sox suck. Well, how do you say that? They're in the World Series. I don't
Right.
care. They suck.
Ah,
It's like you're arguing with an idiot. You're having an idiot's argument. It's
yes.
just fanaticism. That fanaticism, and they become tribal and they hang with each other because ideologically, you're never going to get them to change their minds. And what
That's a
people
very
don't
good point.
realize is that this is your life, man. It ain't a game anymore. This ain't no football game, no Australian football, no baseball. It's your life, man. It's your kids, it's your family. And you're picking sides with people you don't necessarily know. Sad.
That's a good point. That is a good point. And oh man, that's a good point. um, well, with that being said, if a genuine non-human intelligence disclosure event happened, say tomorrow, do you think that the public would recognize it, or would it be buried under, you know, misinformation, competing narratives, and that's that bullshit factor you're talking about?
It
Like
would
people just
have,
being like, okay, I just don't believe it.
yeah, it would. Well, there's going to be people who don't. They may believe it. They don't want to. They don't want to go along with it. There may be, the way I wrote it is the way I wrote it. It's interesting. It was an interesting way. But do I think people will accept it? I think if it's done on a huge, massive, large scale, where there is no look. What was it? Snowden? How much shit did that guy disclose? Or who was the other guy? All this shit was disclosed. This isn't fantasy that these guys dumped on WikiLeaks. This was all real stuff, man. And
Assange. Yep.
people didn't want to, they looked to whoever their team was to tell them what to think about what they just saw. So they were told what to think and either believe it or not believe it. Oh, it's
Mhm.
all a lie. Okay, well, Joe over here says it's all a bunch of bullshit. So Joe knows because Joe's he washes dishes over there at the pizza place. He knows. Everybody's a friggin' lawyer online. That's why the comments are half the joy in some of these threads that you see either on Twitter, because everybody knows everything. Everybody's got the answers. I know what that is. I know. You don't know shit, man. You know exactly what they want you to know, and you're dumb enough to fall for either side. And the truth is somewhere in the middle that you wouldn't recognize if it bit you in the
Hit
ass
you in the
sometimes.
ass.
Yeah. You can't. I don't know what to believe anymore. And do I think people will handle? I think people can handle it. I really do. I take a look at the world right now, brother. It's so screwed up. They ain't doing a real good job of making anything work right now. I think
Well,
maybe. And here, Tyler, when I wrote the book, and I think this was exactly what I said to myself. There's only two ways out of this shit for us. All right. One, insert the deity of your choice comes here and says, you people, you got it all wrong. This is how you're supposed to do it. Or you get some underwater alien life form, non interdimensional life form, something from outer space, underwater, says the same thing. You people have got it all wrong. We gave you everything you needed, and you still screwed it up.
fucked it up.
So that would become your point of reference for how to go forward. But it has to happen on a massive scale in order to get everybody to believe it. It really does. It would have to happen simultaneously around the world like that.
Well, okay, and do you think that would be, because that could be how a non-human intelligence does connect with every single person all at once. So it's like you almost piggyback, not piggyback, but leapfrog the media and any third party, right?
Well,
you just beam it right into their heads, or show up to them as their god of choice, or someone that's close to them that's died, and like have them walk up to them personally, and everyone's seeing it all at once. Everyone's like, I've thought about this, and would that be the way? Would that be the only way that this could be done?
And it's a possibility. My thought is, you got to remember, all the search engines, all the social media, they all have suppressions that would suppress as much of it as you can. So, but if you flood and you're using Lagrange relays and using all these little backdoors to the satellites to get into all these other places around the world that can get the information out, go around the algorithm, trick the algorithms, or just literally blow the shit out of the algorithm to where it can no longer suppress the realities that are being pushed through. And it happens simultaneously. Look, it's going to be a major technological event. Somebody's going to do a drop. Someone's going to do a massive drop eventually on whatever does exist. And as sure as I am that within 10 years, people will be worshiping some AI actor. He'll have 10 million followers. He won't even be real. People will be following that person. There'll be, how there's an IMDb database. There will be an AIDB database
Oh my God.
AI actors that people are all going to think are the shit. He's the best. I love him. I love her. It's not a he. It's not a she. It's a friggin' figment of someone's imagination. But people, in their quest to be entertained, will get a kick out of it, and they'll follow these future stars. 10 years down the line, it's going to happen.
That's a scary thought.
But it's the natural progression of people in the technology industry who have ideas. It's always, hey, we can do that. Just like in Jurassic Park. Okay, yeah, we can do it, but should we do it? Always the question.
And that's the scariest thing right now for me with AI.
Yeah, it's double-edged sword, brother. Double-edged sword.
No one is stopping to ask, should we?
But then where do you stop? See, everybody, it's who's going to make that judgment? We usually, what we do? We take a big shit in the living room, right? And then we all look around at each other and go, what does that smell? We're shocked that it smells in the living room. I know it's a horrible analogy, but that's really what happens is we make a big mess, and then nobody wants to accept responsibility. So then we start implementing stupid ideas and policies that don't fix the problem. They just mask the problem so we can move forward. So then everything gets built on a pile of bullshit. Everything is pilot. Everything from that point on, we move forward with more bullshit, and the festering, heaping pile that created the problem is still underneath, stinking up the room.
Yeah.
And AI is such a double edged. It's so wonderful. It's so amazing what you can do with AI. But and I always go back to this, a gun. You take a gun, you put it on your desk. It'll sit there for 1,000,000 years. You put a human in the room, all bets are off.
Mm.
Once that human's in the room, the gun ain't going to do anything. It's not
It's
about the gun; it's the human. And the same thing with AI. If they didn't bastardize AI's uses, my God, the shit we could accomplish.
and that's a very, very good and nuanced point to that, because the programming of the AI, like at the beginning when it was like, they'd be like, show me a picture of like a World War II battle, and it would
Mhm.
have like Chinese women soldiers, and it was like, wait a second, that's not like DEI can't be used in this
Yeah.
situation.
It
So
was
like,
it was like the unfiltered search results you used to get on
yeah,
Lycos or Alta Vista in
yeah,
97, 98. You'd search for a green tent, and you would get everything that had nothing to do with the green tent. Before they started fine tuning the search engines and the metadata and creating creating the system for the algorithms to know where to direct you to. Yes, exactly what you were saying. Same thing.
do you think that AI now, I don't know if you told me backstage that you know the story of like the Zachariah Sitchin, and or maybe that was live. I can't remember. But
Mhm.
um Chariot of the Gods, the idea of Chariot of the Gods. So the Anunnaki come here, they create humans because the race, the beings of the Anunnaki that were uh, um, the workers rebelled. They didn't want the conditions were bad, so they
Like
took
today, you don't want to be a slave.
exactly. So
Mhm.
they take some of that. They take some of their own DNA, and they find primates, the closest thing to um, them that they could research or hybridize, and then thus comes the human or the hominid, and to, we our only purpose is this nonstop working, this nonstop creation, this nonstop thirst for more, this not this notion that we never stop to ask ourselves, should we, right?
Mhm.
We just, everything else on this planet, Sal, hear me out on this. If the worms go extinct tomorrow, we're fucked. If the bees go extinct tomorrow, we're fucked. Everything else in this world seems to be part of this beautiful ecosystem, this perfectly balanced, controlled environment. There's hundreds of millions of them across the globe. And you take one thing out and it fucks it all. But then you have humans. We take more than we give. They tell us we stood up only to have back pain and get burned by the very thing that gives everything life, right? Also, we shed our fur to need pelts and coats in the winter. Our biological clock is more in tune with Mars than it is with Earth. We don't seem to fit the bill for any ecosystem on this planet. Are we the aliens?
I don't know. You could go in 8 different directions on that one and not be wrong and not be right.
Right.
It's
But do you take any stock into the Anunnaki story?
here's the way I look at it. and I always go back. If it's, say it's the year 1500, right? And you get Tebow the Magnificent and his peasant from that movie Just Visiting with Christina Aguilera or Christina Applegate, right? So it's
Oh, I
15
had the
something.
biggest crush on her.
Oh, dude! If you ever get a chance, watch Just.
Woo!
If you haven't seen Just Visiting, it was one of those movies that got lost in 2001. It's
Okay.
hilarious.
Okay.
So
Okay.
so now you're like 14, whatever it is, and all right, imagine just a man. I don't care, a lamp, right? In 1487, people they're looking at this thing. What the hell is it? What is it? I don't know what it is. No, what they didn't have the knowledge to know what the hell they were looking at back then. Especially, and if you go back to 10,000 years, the Anunnaki, who knows? It could have just been a bunch of tall dudes. I don't know. I wasn't there. We can speculate all day long. I would love to know. Honestly, I would. Nobody would love to know half this shit more than me. Just for the hell of it, because I think it's at least you get to the bottom of things. Do I?
Mm.
I don't know what to make of that one. I don't know what to make of um even after the Anunnaki. It just seems like we are forever slaves to something, and a belief system has always been put in place. Every time we watch movies, like when you watch a movie about disclosure or contact, or the alien becomes present, you never ask them, okay, so how does your society work?
Mm.
Do you guys here's me. My question. You guys go to the bathroom? Oh, okay. What do you eat? What do you eat over there? Do you eat anything over there? Do you sleep? Is money important? Like that line in It's a Wonderful Life with Clarence, the angel. He says, money, and James Stewart says, well, comes in pretty handy down here, bub. Do you need money?
Right.
Do you people compete? Is there competition where you come from? How do you, or is it a sharing society where even those who are gifted with a broader, for lack of a better word, intelligence, do you all just contribute to the betterment of your culture? Whereas here,
Mm.
it's I don't people want to shit all over the United States and how bad the planet is, how bad the country is. What do you think? We got a monopoly on these miserable, low life piece of shit bastards running everything? Every single country has got some scumbags in or outside controlling it all. We ain't got a monopoly on this shit. And people should probably go to other countries and see how wonderful it is. It's nice to visit. You wouldn't want to live there, you know.
Right. Right.
And
That's
that's
a
not but that's because culturally we're all different.
very much.
How they live and what they enjoy in France, or what they enjoy in Madagascar, what they enjoy in I don't know, in Ivory Coast, what they enjoy. And everybody has different cultures. That's the thing. We all are different people, so we have different things we enjoy. They may eat something different over there. We eat differently here. I, I'm not going to shit all over that. But to just shit on your own culture because you think it's garbage. I don't know who are people like that trying to impress. I don't know. Is it profound? Is that poignant? Is that supposed to be some kind of profound, poignant, objective view of your own culture? How much of your own culture do you really know? Like, because you're part of it. Somebody could look at you and say this, and you can look at me and say the same thing. So I don't know what about these stories about the Anunnaki, because it all smells the same to me, Ty. It smells like control. It's somehow somebody's got to control people, and do these people who are in control think they're doing us a service? I don't know. I don't know if they think, maybe they believe themselves to be the benevolent ones, where they're helping us because otherwise the world would really be screwed up. I don't know.
And that's a scary thought to me.
Yes.
If they're holding back something, because and like that would be the biggest plot twist if we found out that like like they eat us, like, and we're just cow or cattle.
To serve man from Twilight Zone, right?
I don't know if you just saw this, but I took a sip of my coffee.
Yeah, I know. You okay over there?
Dude,
Go down the wrong
came,
pipe?
it came out my nose. Yeah.
Oh,
It was
like you're a squirter. Sorry. You okay? You good?
That was hilarious. That was hilarious. Way to roll with it. But yeah, no, I almost
And that
just
would go. And by the way, that would go right over my wife's head. I married the fly. I love her. She's
uh
so innocent about things. Sometimes whereas me, you know, I've been dragged through the mud. I've just seen shit. No man, and there's just shit I've seen that you can't unsee. And she's the exact opposite. So she's my balance. She
right.
keeps me
We
balanced.
all need a little balance,
Yes, because
right?
we're all a little effed up, ain't we?
Right. You know what's sad? If I just choked to death on camera, um, that would have went
Like,
viral.
and get it monetized. At least monetize it. You're monetized, right? So, hurry, switch back if you can, just in case it don't work next
All
time.
right, yeah. Run it back, guys. Run it back.
You keep it for your estate. I could just say I was part of it, but it's all
Well,
yours.
no, I didn't realize. The spoon is still in the cup, but it's a big cup.
That's a big cup.
So the spoon is right there, right? And I
You know?
took a sip, and the spoon
Oh,
went in my mouth, and then it came like spit out my nose. Oh my god!
what are you drinking? You go to dark roast? What do you like?
I do like a medium roast. I like
Mm,
a splash of milk and like 2 or 3 sugars.
nice. You know,
Yeah.
I like Lavazza or a nice dark rich roast.
Mm,
Um, and I go, honest to God, I go Boston style all the time. Loaded
I
up with
love it.
cream, baby.
Let's go.
No sugar, just
Let's yeah.
and I'm a coffee. And actually, my wife got me hooked on tea lately, so I've been doing the Earl Grey again. I really love, but she's got this
Some
tea called Machu something. I don't know.
matcha.
It's yeah, that kind, whatever the
Matcha.
hell it
Yeah.
is. I'm not a
Yeah.
big fan of it. Yeah,
Um, me either. Me either.
I like
Um,
my Earl Grey. It's as far as I'll go.
yeah. Someone tried to turn me on to mushroom coffee. And I was
I've
like,
heard it's really good for you, man. I've heard,
yeah,
and
yeah, I
actually,
might do it.
Doctor, there's all, I read Dr. Malone's stuff a lot. Sulak, another one, for a lot of these things, and especially me being a gravitationally challenged guy, I'm trying to figure out ways to cut the weight and lower the blood pressure and stuff. And the mushroom coffee is supposed to be really good for you.
Yeah. And
I'm
that's
thinking I might take the plunge one day.
yeah, and apparently it doesn't taste like shit like you'd think it would.
Right. I mean, who the hell wants mushroom? I don't want truffle flavored coffee. I don't mind truffle
Yeah.
flavored olive oil, but not my
Well,
coffee.
I'll eat mushrooms,
Mm,
not the food type, but like the trippy type. And
mm,
I hate the taste of them
mm.
so much. But like in the thought of it, I'm like every time I hear mushroom coffee, all I can think of is like putting mushrooms in a coffee maker and having water go through it.
Yeah,
But that's not really what it
it's
is. And
not what it is, right?
it's yeah, but my head just goes there, and I'm like,
Mm,
that sounds disgusting.
mm.
But back to what we were talking about before I almost died. Um, the wonders of live, guys.
Yeah.
The wonders of live. Woo! The title of your novel, which you've brought up now a couple times, is Hidden Powers: Disclosure from Within. Do you believe that the biggest secret surrounding UFOs is the phenomenon itself, or is it how the information about the phenomenon is managed?
Well, I think how it's managed. 90% of it, okay, even if you could explain 90% of it, and even 3 or 4% that if you can't explain, maybe it is something else. But the shit that is absolutely unequivocally real, it's being managed, and it only takes a small portion of managing it to get people to where we're at, to the point where we say, I don't know what to believe. Oh, that again, that's bullshit. Because you get so fed up with hearing this and that. It's like, for the love of God, are you just gonna again, can you just put out the truth? But for some reason, whatever it is, whoever is profiting, I always go back to money. People are making
Mhm.
big dough off this shit. They probably always have. Some in the book, that was the directive. That's the way I wound up going. Is that
What do you mean by that? That's the way you want.
There's a lot of money. Remember in the movie Contact when what's his name, the scientist who gave them the money to build the Magneto thing. He says, "Why build one when you can build two with twice the money?" There's a lot of money to be made. It doesn't take much to walk up to a guy and say, "Yeah, you saw that, huh? Yeah, I'll tell you what. We're going to give you $100,000 and we're going to let your kid live, or else we're going to blow switch your kid to the wall. And your wife, you won't even there won't be enough DNA left to even identify that she was ever here on Earth. So
Right.
you want to take the 100 grand and shut up or not?"
Right.
It's not far fetched to believe that that kind of shit happens, especially if you're an Italian. You've seen
Hell
them in
yeah.
action.
Yeah. They're not bluffing.
Yeah.
So
So
do you
I
think so you think that the information is the prize?
yeah, because the information is the key. That's the key. The key the key to it all is whether it's real or not.
Right.
That's that once you open that box, now everybody can see it.
And it stops being this elusive thing that only a small select people have access to.
Right. Well, it's not, again, in the way I wrote it, it's they're ideologically connected, loosely ideological. It doesn't mean they have to all be in some kind of organization of, they are like-minded, just like the media, 90 something percent of the media, they think a certain way. Okay, so they're gonna write stories. They're gonna adjectively describe things to get you to perceive what they want you to perceive the way they want you to perceive it. So you think the way they want you to think, and you see it the way they want it framed. It happens on the left and it happens on the right. And
Yeah.
somewhere in the middle, there's got to be some truth there. I don't trust either one of them. And I get like the average person and the other people out there say, what the hell's the truth? Some people don't want to know the truth. They just want, like I said, they just want to hump some dude's leg, tell him they think he's great, and hopefully he'll throw him a bone with a job with some pension, and he'll get a city job, a state job, or a Fed job. And yeah, you're my guy. Woo! No matter how much the guy screws up. But then there's a lot of genuinely curious people who want to look at these guys who are in control, these people who are in power, and say, I don't believe you.
Right.
I don't believe you. I just don't believe it. I would like to see the truth. And if they're in power, nobody's going to willingly give up power. It's going
That's
to have to,
that's a
it's
good
going,
point.
they're just, some people, maybe, I don't know, but I would hope that eventually this just gets so wide open that the Band-Aid gets ripped off and we can finally get to some truth so we can move forward. Dr. Stephen Greer, when he talks about, how many years we've been separated, if that's true, if he's speaking the truth, and if that's real, we're 150 years back in technology. I mean, propulsion is an ancient technology, bro.
Yeah.
A car is 150. Thinking we're going to get out of our galaxy with a rocket is insane.
It's laughable.
It's insane.
Chemical combustion will never allow us to be a spacefaring civilization.
No, you won't even live to make it past Venus or
The
whatever.
moon, potentially.
Yeah, I mean
There's just so much that can go wrong.
So if there are other technologies out there that are being suppressed, they're being suppressed for a reason. I don't
Yes.
know what I wrote about it, but
I think it ties back to like what you said. It ties back to the money, right? The exploitation of the actual material, right? But also there's this compartmentalization and siloing that's been built around the idea, and thus it's a limited hangout. And like we have talked about this whole time, people like want to be a part of a team. They want to be in on it, right? They want to be, I know something you don't know.
I'm connected.
I'm connected. I'm read in, but I
Yeah.
can't tell you. I'm sorry, I can't tell you that in an open setting.
Mhm.
I think there are a lot of narcissists out there that actually like that they enjoy that they have a clamp down on certain information that
They
they
count
have.
on it. They count on it.
Bingo. They fucking count on it.
That's how
And
you hide the
that
truth in plain. That's how you hide the truth in plain sight. You rely on that.
and that's how you get the Epsteins,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because they hide in plain sight.
Well, you go back, you talk about that, and there's a portion of the book where I just delve into a little bit of some of that subject matter. And, I really don't give a shit about the list because I've been to parties where there are some really low life, sloppy, scumbag pieces of shit. Doesn't mean I did anything that they were doing, just means I was in the
Of
presence of
course.
them. What I'm interested in is what I was told years ago is there's terabits of video in audio. I don't give a shit about a paper list, man, about a bunch of people who want to party, snort, blow, and hump coconut trees.
Right.
The list doesn't mean much. The action that they cannot ever deny is the video.
Right. And we
That's
have they said that it's like what we have right now is like, and maybe I'm making this number up, but maybe someone in the chat or um can answer this. They say we have like 20% of the evidence, and that's and we have like, millions of documents. So what that is indicative of is that the 80% that is left is, like you said, it's video.
yeah.
It's highly dense video and audio files. And that is exactly right. Like, because you know who's all in the emails and shit? Like anyone who ever sent or got an email from Epstein is not a fucking inside some sort of conspiracy,
Right.
right? The guy was funding science and the guy was funding various, sectors.
He was buying likes, is what he was
Yes,
doing. He was
right.
buying
And he
likes.
was
A lot of unsuspecting people, a lot of dopes, a lot of people who really never clue. And then there's a lot of people who probably did have a clue and were participating. And those are
oh,
the ones
no
I want to.
doubt.
Those are the ones I want to see on video.
Well,
I'm not
right,
interested.
because
And here's the. Go ahead, Ty. Go ahead. Go ahead.
you have the inner circle, right? The inner circle is Epstein, Ghislaine, and then anyone who's like the core part of it that the direction is taken from. And maybe it was just them two. Maybe that's the inner circle. I doubt that. But then you have the next ring of people. Those are the active participants and the
Mm-hmm.
people that like made it possible, if if you will,
The ancillaries, the people on the outside of the outside who wanted to get to the
who
inside, who
wanted
wanted to
that.
be in there. It's no
Yes,
different than the entertainment industry or the record business, like we spoke about earlier.
right.
It's a one big freak show, and everybody wants to be move up the ladder so they can get patted on the head and say, "Well, you did good. You're good. You could. You're good. You know."
You're good.
And the the
Because then you
video, and here's the weird thing, and I was just looking this up uh, from 2015 till like last year, nothing was ever, or 20, or what is it, 2020 to last year, nothing was ever released on this. Well, I don't know. Why the hell didn't they release any of this shit before? And then I read because I guess the DOJ, um, it was because supposedly it was under investigation. So if it's under investigation, that's the cover that you can't release anything. You know what I'm saying, Ty?
right,
So if it's
right.
under investigation, we can't talk about it. We can't release anything. All of a sudden, now it's no longer under investigation, and they're spewing out documents all of a sudden. But where's the rest of it? Again, why are you wasting my friggin' time with a boat slip, This guy wanted,
'Cause
I want the video that we were told exists. That ends everything. The video ends everything. That's
yeah,
it. The
that's
video
the problem.
cannot lie. And you know that chances are that dude had that joint wired the way you got your studio wired, right? He got red cameras, he got them Sony, he got shit. He can get right down to the pube in that room.
Literally.
Yes.
Literal like, you're funny, man. I like it.
Yeah, that's the stuff that interests me. I mean,
Yeah.
somebody who went to that island 50, 60 times, I'm a little weird. I'm a little suspect about it.
Right.
But at the end
But,
of the
like,
day,
what was fucking Stephen Hawking doing there? He's like, "I like to
I,
watch."
I, I know
Like, it's
maybe he
like,
like
what are
the.
you doing?
Does he even know what he's looking at? Did he even know what he's looking at? I don't know. It's weird, man. And again, we talk about in the entertainment industry, in these desire for people who want to be accepted in what they perceive to be a power structure, and there's
Again, that
no.
limited hangout factor gi gives it that exclusivity that
Mhm.
you that people desperately crave. They
Yeah,
crave this element of being, like I said, part of that team, part of the group, part of the club,
I
right?
know things. I'm important. I hang with important people. I can't tell you anything, but I know.
And
And
this is the basis for most clubs, most secret societies is the idea that you know something the rest of the world doesn't, and it's you that's has the power, the secrets, yada yada yada, right?
I'm important. I have power.
There you go. We do rituals to this thing. You know,
Rituals.
ritual, yeah,
It's
rituals.
when I think about rituals, I think, wow, what a peasant. What a stupid peasant. These rituals that go back 1,000 years, like you're living. What are you gonna go shit in some hole in the desert now too, and get rid of all your modern convenience? It's
Yeah,
such a stupid thing.
yeah.
We have to do this to prove that we're that. It bores me to no
What
end.
do you
And these are the things about humans that annoy me. It really annoys me about humans is that these silly rituals that when you see them performing, whatever group it is, these rituals where we all have to come together and do this or that. Did you ever see that one video of all them weird people screaming and crying because they were apologizing to a tree?
No.
It goes back years, bro. It's funny shit. It's a whole group of just really weird looking white people, man. Just
And they're
scary.
crying because a tree got cut?
They're apologizing to the trees.
For what?
And for everything that we did to them. The trees are 800 feet tall. They've been around for 1,000 years. You didn't do nothing to the tree. Those trees are in good shape. So why are you apologizing to the trees that are in good shape? Go apologize to the trees that are no longer there.
Right.
No, they're screaming and crying and doing this ritual with
So
their
it's a public
hands,
stunt.
and I'm looking at this. What happened? What happened to you people? Well, somewhere along the way, maybe your mother breastfed you while she was doing acid. I don't know, man. But you got to do something really screwed up to be that screwed up.
That
It's bizarre. It's very bizarre, and there's some bizarre things in the book. Where I get into the habituals of people. Just and some people may recognize it, some people may not, but it interests the hell out of me. Human behavior is always interesting to me, and
yeah, I think so.
because I
I
look,
put the link
I got my own weird shit, but the key is to know it and not
right,
live in denial of it. I got my
right,
own weird things I do that I go, man, well, I am really fucked up. What the hell was
right.
that all about? But some people just live in denial of this shit like it's normal. Well, okay, whatever.
They wanna keep their head in the sand. They
Yeah.
because if they admit it, then they've conceded that reality is not the way that they had been raised to believe, to know,
But
right?
if you live that way, Ty, then you're not growing because then you're suppressing knowledge that you're gaining. You're getting knowledge. You're being shown that, hey, this isn't a T-bone steak, it's a finger. You know what I mean? I now realize that I was wrong. I shouldn't call that a T-bone steak. That's my finger. People
Right.
will live in denial of it, and then they'll fight over it because they don't want to. It's hard to break out of that conditioning. Whereas I'm very open to a lot of things, and I look at things like, okay, well, that's deep, or that's shallow, and that's stupid, and it's good for you. You enjoy it, not me. Adios. And that's it.
Right. Have you ever had any encounter with a UFO, with the paranormal, with any of the phenomena that may have sparked something in you to, because at least for me, what I see the most of is people get to this community one way or either one of a few ways. One of them is direct experience. One of the next biggest one is faith, and I'm talking unconditional faith in the trust that they have for someone else who had something happen, and by happenstance they trust that person. Like Luigi, his grandfather had an experience, told him about it. This is Luigi
Oh,
Venditelli,
it's the guy you had
like
on last, yeah, from S4, yeah.
yeah, created the S4 Bob Lazar story documentary. He he didn't have a sighting of anything. He was always operating on how his grandfather told him the story of what he saw, and he trusted his grandfather so much that he operated on the notion that it was a reality without having ever seen it. And that's okay. I've never actually seen a kangaroo. But that takes a special, and I think people are like, they're almost like sad to admit, like when I ask that question, have you ever had an experience? They're sad to admit, like, no, I haven't. Nothing that I can point to. And it's like, that's okay. That's okay.
Well, trust
So
me,
anyway,
I've tried. I've won.
what do you mean
I've
you've
hope.
tried?
I've tried. Like, is that a? I've actually called the police when I thought I saw a UFO. And it was just spotlights. So I mean, jokingly, I say that I've tried because I really would love to have seen one. I know. I believe you experienced it, right? You had an
I
experience,
did. I
and
too.
yeah, and but I will tell you this: I did have a very weird experience. Well, it was. I don't know if you would call it paranormal.
Tell me
Um,
about it.
I was. Let's see, I was 17, right? When I was younger, I had my music room and I had my turntables set up, my reel to reel. I was doing mixes for a radio station here in Chicago and other places, and I was making cassette tapes for friends of mine and stuff. And the back wall of my music room was all cork, so it was 12 by 12 cork. And my music room was all, it was sound, it was all built for
I was gonna say
sound.
soundproof, right?
Yeah, not soundproof, but built for great sound. So I had
Right.
my monitors, I had my Pioneer D12s further out, and I had my little monitors in front of me. So I was working on a mix, and at that time I was working on 1100. I think they're the 1100 MK2s, which are still probably the greatest turntable ever made for a DJ. The platter is about that thick. They're still going for anywhere from 1,500 to 2,500 online. It's an amazing turntable.
Oh
And
shit.
we were using the SC35C cartridges at the time as a DJ. That was, everybody, like some people like Stan.
Top of the
I was
line,
always an
yeah.
SC35C guy. And so I'm working on the mix. And then it's weird, man. The setup it was like a DJ booth. So it was like, let me see. Oh, so it came out like this and then like that. So the turntables are here with the mixer in the middle. It's about 6 feet long, and then it goes that way. Another 4 feet. The reel to reel deck is there. And then all my vinyl was underneath my booth, and I had a dream. It was a dream. So
Okay.
I'm I John Belushi died in March of '82, and I loved Belushi. It was my favorite
Yeah.
when I was a kid. Jimmy I liked a lot too, but John was my
Was a
favorite.
king, yeah.
And so out of nowhere, Belushi shows up in my music room. And he says, "What do you want to do?" And I says, "What do you mean what I want to do?" He says, "What do you want to be a DJ? You want to be a DJ all your life?" I said, "No, I want to get into Second City. It's my goal." Because that was the year right when I got done doing Bad Boys. So this is probably September, October, November of '82. Bad Boys was released in February of '83. Um, so he looks at me and he says, "All right, I'll help you get in, but let me tell you something. Yeah, if I see this shit, you're done." And he pointed to his arm, and his arm just looked like Swiss cheese, man. You know,
What the
yeah,
hell?
it was weird. So out of nowhere, I wake up and I'm sitting right behind where I was talking to him in my music room. And it was about 6 in the morning. My music room was in the basement. I lived downstairs. Here in Chicago, we all remodeled our basements really nice. And, you had part
Yeah.
of it, you had your own little, I had my bedroom, my own bathroom, my music
Hell
room.
yeah.
And, but it was weird because within 3 months, I'm auditioning at Second City, and Don DePaulo grabs me and says, "We definitely." I wind up studying under Don DePaulo, who was. I said, "Holy shit, that's the guy who worked with Aykroyd, with Bill Murray. Oh my god!" And I still was. Yeah, I was 17, so I think I was probably the youngest member accepted in Second City at the time. And some of the sketches that I was doing were just. I mean, we were having a blast. I was having so much fun. But then my mom found out that I was sneaking out of the house at night, taking the
Yeah.
bus all the way to Second City, which is up in what they call Newtown at that time. It was North Avenue in LaSalle,
Yeah.
and then I'd have to take the bus back at 2 or 3 in the morning. And my mother busted me coming in one night, beat my ass, grounded me till I was about 40. One of the many times my mom grounded me till I was 40.
Yeah.
And
If you're doing
so
consecutive sentences, you're still grounded.
yeah, so that was it for Second City.
But
And
do you think, now hear me out.
hmm,
Hear me out on this. You have this dream, and then a couple weeks later, you're auditioning at Studio City.
Second
You
City,
know,
Second City.
sorry, Second City. Um, do you think that consciousness is not? I mean, what do you make of consciousness? Because it seems like your brain was trying to tell you something,
I
like
think it's
to
I think
be
it's energy.
prepared.
I think it's energy tied. To me, somehow it's tied into energy. I don't know what is, I don't know what that energy field is or that energy force, but it's an energy. Your drive, your strive, your desire generates an energy. Um, we give up on certain things, the energy fades, then it comes back. Um, just my thought. I could be wrong. Ain't
Right.
nobody around to tell me whether I'm right or wrong. So,
Well, what if consciousness is more like a radio station, right?
on a
And
frequency,
yeah, and I mean, someone explained this to me, and I just thought it was like it's so brilliant. Um, and I think we're all like searching for that kind of answer, that like consciousness, and or in some form or another, it all boils down to, does life continue after death, like bodily death, right? That's like the two big questions. Are we
mm,
alone? And what happens after we die? And I think we're all like, we all want life after death, whether
mm,
we admit it or not. So we seek out this question of what is consciousness. And I really don't like when people, like, therapists or psychologists, when they pretend to know everything about the human psyche, and
mm,
they're the same people that can't tell me what consciousness is. They're the ones who are defining who's sick, who's sane, who uh, you know
And they
that
have to go see their own. They have to go see their own shrink. So you got a
right,
crazy
right,
bastard telling you what to think. Right? Yeah.
right. So, and then like, and the reason I sidetracked here because like they say the sleep paralysis thing that's always got me because I have done DMT, I have done some we'll call them
Yeah. Yeah. A friend of mine tells me I got to do it all. He does it. He's done it. DMT, yeah, and other things
yeah,
that get you into a different, what he believes to be a different reality, a different, yeah, it's a different,
bing,
different dimension,
bingo.
different, yeah.
So why I bring this up is it's almost like the consciousness part of it was not ever because when I did DMT, and I've done it with, I probably shouldn't say this, but like Paul Hynek, son of J. Allen Hynek. Um, you know, I've been in some great positions. Great timing. So, and I've, met Congress members and, I used to be a drunk, like, I've been sober for 6 years. I think a lot of people wrote me off for a long time. I had potential, lost it. And then, as soon as I gave up drinking, I really, found my stride, if you will. And my mother, you talked about earlier about North Stars. My mother was always my North Star. And we don't have to get into that, but consciousness, I don't know what stations are Chicago, but Boston, there's jamming 94.5, right? So what if you're jamming 94.5? Obviously different radio stations are tied to different radio like areas, but think for a second that all the radio stations everywhere are connected to one thing, and that's God, whatever we want to call it, the source, God, ether, whatever we want to call it, blank, that thing, that the source of whatever we come from. All of it goes back to that. You could smash the radio up, right? But 94.5 is still going to come through, right? Our brain is simply the receiver of the signal, which is the consciousness. So I'm KISS 108, right? I'm 107.9, you're 94.5. Each one, everyone's not assigned, but for the analogy, everyone's got a different little radio station, and we all report back, and we're all experiencing the world on a physical level and returning that information. You could argue that our job here on planet Earth is to experience, right? It's to make memories, it's to fail, it's to, like, if you really want to get, if you want to break the condition down, we're not here to do 9 to 5. We're not here to slave away behind a desk. We're not designed for that. What we're designed for, it seems, is this self-reflection, this ability to look at our surroundings, know that we're all going to die, and then live as every day could be your last, right? Because it could. So, what time is, time is, we know it's a construct. All it is a bunch of nows right now, right now, compiled upon each other. And then the way we view it is linear, because that's the way our brain is perceiving it, is a linear start to finish. But time, itself is probably a fundamental force like gravity. So to round it about, because I don't want to just like rant and rave about my thoughts, but I think the one thing the universe isn't, it is not simple. It's not wasteful. And I just think if we sprout up and then we die, it just seems like a waste to me.
Well, in the movie Contact, when she sees her dad, that's how, And she says, "Why this way?" And he says, "The way it's always been done. It's the way it was set up." With Jodie Foster at the end when she sees her dad. Um, Still never getting any answers as to who we are, what we are, why we are. But like you had said earlier, that's how we hope it is, that we meet him in the afterlife. That he had passed away early in her, when she was younger, and she sees him, supposedly. Um, I don't know if necessarily, I think we were created a certain way and we're fighting the way we're forced to live because we don't want to be the slaves that we are. And I believe that is the energy, and that's the universal energy, is that we were not born to be a slave. However, it's all we know. You either work, create, generate revenue, or you live
Mhm.
on the street and die.
Yep.
Those are your choices, because we live in a very uncivilized world, and we live in a very fast-paced world. At this point, it
Fast-paced,
is,
materialistic.
yeah, and it's very accelerated. When I say accelerated, when you take a guy say a guy's been in a joint for 25 years. He comes out of the joint, the whole world's different, man. It's operating, it's vibing at an alarming speed. The sounds, the noises, are insane. It's hard to adjust. And like you had, like you had said, I think we're here for a purpose we're not allowed to find out about yet. I think we're suppressed through that. And again,
So
I
you
hope to
think
God.
that someone is suppressing what our true nature is to
Yeah,
hold us back in some
yeah.
sort of like like you know it's like keeping the sheep, right?
Keeping the peasants peasants.
Yeah, exactly. You
You're a
can't.
serf. Here,
Not everyone can be a
here's a
pharaoh.
chunk of fat. Go eat. Here's some fat. Go enjoy it, peasant.
Yeah,
Go away now.
not everyone can be a pharaoh, right?
But not, you know what? But the way we're set, see, and when you think in the mindset of a human, we look to something that has to lead us. We need somebody to lead us, to follow. In the movie The Formula, great movie, George C. Scott, Marlon Brando, and George C. Scott sitting across the desk from Marlon Brando, and they're having discussion about um, people. And in so many words, Marlon Brando, who is a oil baron, George C. Scott is a sergeant in the LA Police Department, and Marlon Brando says to George C. Scott, "Barney, Barney, 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 human beings are a paradox, and they're a dangerous animal. They're not looking. They're not looking to be leaders. They're looking for some nut to come along that they can follow." And
Mm,
to me, it was a pretty powerful line in the movie, because it seems like everybody needs to look at somebody for justification of why they think the way they think, and that's my guy. That's my guy. Yeah, see, we think alike, and we're forever propping up stool samples of human beings to lead us to what, into a brick wall. It seems, you
right,
know.
right.
So it's like that scene in Animal House. Remember the parade in Animal House?
Yeah,
Everybody's following the guy. He makes
yeah,
what's his name from Animal, makes a left turn in the alley. Everybody's following him. Nobody's looking in front. They're just following him. The whole band crashes right into a brick
right
wall.
into the wall.
Right into the brick wall.
It's like,
Nobody paying attention. Just follow the leader. Nobody's
yeah,
thinking.
no one's yeah, that's a very good analogy, actually. It's a good visual. Um,
Weird. Weird.
yeah, very weird. So let's assume let's assume that UFOs represent a genuine non-human intelligence. What do you think what do you think would be the most disruptive truth for humanity to learn?
That's a good question, Ty. What do you think?
That
Because I'm very open to it. That's why I ask you. Sorry.
yeah, no, I understand. I like the discussion-based thing. Um, what I think the most disruptive truth would be is that these beings are part of, if not the whole reason we're here, right? Because it would upend most religion as it stands. If like we take something like panspermia and the idea of the cosmos being seeded by another intelligence, right? I don't know if we're ready as a species to know and to meet our creator, right? To be face to face with our creator and be able to understand each other in a way that doesn't include some sort of hierarchical. I mean, it may be a good thing. It could end up being a good thing because maybe we do need someone to like backhand us every now and then. Like we clearly haven't figured this shit out yet. And
Exactly.
I find it odd how almost every single one across the globe, and what we're taught in school is that there was no minimal cross continent contact, and I find that hard to believe for many reasons, but I
Yeah.
won't get into all of them.
It,
However, every single one of them talks about these deities coming from the sky or coming from the ocean or coming from inside the earth, seeding them with knowledge, vowing to return, and leaving. Why is everyone? And then they build these monuments that we can't fucking understand how they did it, all just to what? Work a Thursday night? They built the pyramids.
yeah.
There's no bodies ever found in them. I admit that grave robbers and stuff are a thing, but no pyramid that's ever been found has had an actual body in it. So, what are these things, and who are our ancient civilizations talking about?
Well, the
Then we can go to
question,
Plato, and you could argue whether Plato is, talking about Atlantis and whether it was hyperbole or not. It's
they didn't know. Again, they didn't know what they were looking at back then either. Possibly, I don't know. None of us were there. All we have is myth, legend, stories, Sanskrit. We we don't. It's so you can sit here all for 10 years and talk about these things. And a
speculate.
guy like you and a guy like me can argue both sides of the argument because it's just you don't know, and you as a person who wants to get to the truth, to get to the reality, you really want to you want to understand. But then what are you trying to understand? You're getting bits and pieces of stuff going back thousands and thousands of years, and then you're trying to assess what it means. It's hard to do that. If you look at human nature, the only thing you can be assured of is that people killed to keep it quiet, people hid it, and people changed the stories because they didn't want the people to know.
Yeah,
Nothing changes but time. We're fighting, discussing, arguing, killing over the same shit for thousands of years.
nothing
And
new
no,
under the sun.
nothing. We ain't figured it out yet. So maybe just a little truth might help because maybe that's what would finally kick us in the ass and say, no, you are an asshole and you are a piece of shit and you're wrong for doing the thing you've been doing. This is the right way. This is the only way you're going to join the rest of the universe. You're in a dimension, they're in a dimension, we're in a dimension. I don't know what that looks like, but
Right.
I certainly think that the truth will set us free either
Ah,
one way. And even in the book, in the book, it's like, look, and that was the whole idea of the tagline. The tagline is, when all the conspiracies become reality, will the truth really set us free? Are we ready for it? Can we handle it? Will we fight each other or fight for each other?
Right.
which is exactly what we go through today. We're fighting against each other and fighting for each other. Eventually, we all have to come together. But what is going to be that uniting factor? I don't know.
Mm.
Disclosure may be it.
I think it could be.
I do, and I really do. Look, at least it would answer some damn questions that I've had since Chariots of the Gods and Jonathan Livingston Seagull since I was a kid, and everything you wanted to know about sex, but we're afraid to ask. That was the other
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Woody Allen.
Absolutely.
Woody Allen.
Absolutely. Oh
But yeah,
man.
I mean, it's a good question, and it can emit 1,000 different feelings, 1,000 different answers.
Do you
Um,
do you have a favorite case? Do you have a favorite UFO case?
yes,
Um,
Betty and Barney Hill.
oh no
Yeah,
shit.
yeah. I
Why?
think that's one of them. That's one. That's
Do you
there's
wanna
if,
I
yeah,
know it's been told, I'm also from that area,
yeah. You're
in
in the
the
East Coast. Yeah.
yeah, and I know Kathleen Martin, and she's, their niece,
Mhm.
and, I've done extensive work or research into this case, so but, I'd love to hear you tell me what it is. What do you think happened there?
I just think it's amazing that a guy and his wife, for all the years that they kept giving them lie detectors and asking them this questions over and over and over, nothing changed. This guy had nothing to gain. He was a black guy married to a white woman on the East Coast. What is Connecticut? Was it New Hampshire? Right, New
Yeah,
Hampshire.
New Hampshire, and he
It,
again,
it,
interracial, is
interracial in the early 60s.
and he was
They,
part of the NCAAP or whatever, it
yeah,
was.
well, yeah, he was a mailman, right? And I believe was she a social worker? What was she?
Yes, she was a
Yeah,
social
right.
worker.
So these are just two regular people. They, they're never involved in shit in their life, man. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, they report an experience, just like those guys, those lumber dudes that were down in was it Arizona or
Travis Walton, yeah.
so? Yeah, for five, they're gone. These are things. No matter how through the years that these people were questioned, everything was exactly the same. The story remained the same. Nothing changed. They experienced something, man. You can't dismiss that. And there's no reason for him to come out of nowhere and do that. I mean, it's just that's the way my mind works. Is that's an anomaly in all of it. I don't care if it was Project Saucer, Project Sign, Project Grudge, which in a Project Blue Book, all whatever they experienced, they would have tried to explain away in those
Absolutely.
project. And there's no way to explain that shit, those away. There's no way to explain what those guys experienced who were cutting trees down. There's no way to explain away what Betty and Barney Hill experienced. No, they weren't smoking weed. They weren't doing acid. They were just
No.
driving. They're normal people doing their thing, going wherever they were going. And out of nowhere, boom, they get abducted.
Yep.
That's what they said. And I am apt to believe those stories. I'm also apt to believe the story in 52. You can't,
In
I don't know if you're
DC.
familiar. Yeah, and I don't know if you're familiar with the shit that happened here in O'Hare. And was it
Yeah,
oh
of
seven oh
course I
eight?
am, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
They got
punches right through the
it's
clouds.
sitting on the damn tarmac, man. You
Yeah,
don't tell me I'm looking at swamp gas. Take
yeah.
that swamp gas shit and stick that up your ass. It's
Well,
bullshit.
no,
That was
they said that one was a punch hole cloud.
yeah, yeah, right. Yeah,
Like,
and light reflection and
yeah,
refraction light.
but pilots were seeing it,
People were
calling it
seeing
in.
it. Thousands of people were there.
Yeah.
So if
That O'Hare incident is something that fucking baffles me at
yeah,
how
and that Arizona incident in '96.
yep, Phoenix Lights.
Yeah, the Phoenix Light. These like I said, there's a lot of crackpot crazy shit out there, man. There really is, and it does no good for anything about disclosure. It doesn't help. The
No, it
only
doesn't.
and it's just I want the hardest. I expect the most proof you can give me to even get me to believe it. And while there's a bunch of them, there's more bullshit stories, or there are ways to explain a lot of this stuff away. But then there's stories like what we were just talking about. Also, that story, the story I think it was in the end of the 1800s in Aurora, Texas. All
Aurora,
right,
Texas. Yep.
if you want to Google it, look it up. Aurora, Texas. A craft supposedly crashed. They won't let anybody near it. And then what happened is that the people
They
were
buried it.
they bury it. Nobody, they won't let anybody go near it.
Yeah.
You know.
It's crazy.
So and what that does is it makes you suspicious, Ty. As a human being, it's like, okay, well, why? Why can't I know about this? Why? So that's how the conspiracies occur, because then you believe, because human beings are bullshitters and liars, and that you assume you're being lied to because they refuse to tell you that it happened, or they're not willing to tell you that it happened, and they'll just tell you go about your day. Nothing, like in
nothing to see here.
Naked Gun. Nothing to see here.
Yeah.
Please disperse. Nothing to see here.
Have you heard of the Varginha, Brazil incident?
Yeah, the Brazil. Yeah. That's
what do you make of that one?
I don't know. It's weird, man, because you got did they ever identify what was on the ball? Was it Sanskrit, or what was the language that was on the ball itself?
No. That is the Booga sphere.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I'm talking about
you're talking about the thing in Brazil in '96.
Yeah, in '96, where
Yeah.
So the three girls, but they cordoned off like a lot of the area, and the three girls I find to be, because the neuroscientists, everyone spoke about this smell of sulfur, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the girls, when they see the being, it's got protrusions in its head. It's got red eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And, when Carlos de Souza and the farmers saw the craft going down, there was this white vapor coming out the back of the cigar-shaped craft.
Mm-hmm.
And it was wobbling. It was clearly in trouble. Carlos was a pilot, and he identified that there was a problem right away. So much so that he turned off because he was like, they are going to need help, right? And the farmers see it coming down because it's coming down over their land. And they see it wobbling and spewing out this vapor. So, and there's also a river right there. There is a river close by, the one that would go from the crash site all the way into Varginha, the city. Mm-hmm. So, because I'm friends with some of the main researcher, Marco Leal, who picked up the story, picked the ball up on the story, and did the film with James Fox and all that. But the girls see the being, and it's got red eyes, it smells like sulfur, and it's got protrusions that make it seem like it has horns. Now, what does that sound like to you?
Well, 2,000 years ago, to people then, it would have sounded like Satan.
But also in South America, where they're very culturally religious.
Yeah.
They thought they saw a demon.
Well, that's what I said, Satan, demon.
Yeah. So, but even in '96, they ran home thinking they saw a demon. Mm-hmm. And then that smell of sulfur. So, like, what if our ancestors mistook these beings? And the reason I think that the being was hiding, because they had this thin layer of like something on them, and that's how the military guy died. Was he grabbed? So there was multiple beings, and Marco Cheriz, they were doing a patrol, him and Eric Lopes, and they were told to be on the lookout for anything weird. And they're patrolling the city. They weren't even told. Yeah, they weren't told what it was, and they just said be on the lookout for something weird. And they're driving, and then this thing runs in front of the car. So Marco gets out and he bear hugs it, and he gets cut in the interaction. And he's bear hugging the thing, but it's definitely injured. And he holds it all the way to the hospital. They bring it into the hospital, and then 2 weeks later, Marco Shirizi dies of a bacterial infection that just doesn't make sense. They threw the kitchen sink at this guy, and his body rejected everything. So what it leads me to believe about the beings, if everything is true, is that they're most likely aquatic beings, or they're from a star that is very old, and
Well,
it's
that
very,
particular being, there could
yes,
be that particular being.
yeah,
Yes.
the red eyes, the
Yeah.
sulfuric smell, and the vapor that was coming out the back, and then the river, and they were hiding from the sun. When the girls saw the being, it was crouched away from the sun because it was December, and it was really hot there, because that's their summer.
Yeah.
So the heat was clearly affecting it and making it weak. And they moved at night primarily, or they tried to move at night primarily. And I think they used the river to get to Virginia in the first place. But that's beside the point. But I think our ancestors, what if they're seeing these things? And what if they are the beings that came here and had relationships with our ancestors on a different level, on a closer contact level? And then they were, what was actually technology is then spoken about like it's God.
Godlike and
Because
deity, yeah, like a deity. Yeah,
for all
absolutely.
intents and purposes, it is.
And when you're talking about them going, when you go back to Betty and Barney Hill, the most amazing thing about that story too is that she was able to draw out Zeta Reticuli.
Star map. Yep.
What is it? What would this woman, probably, who knows? I mean, you're 2 years into the Twilight Zone. The Outer Limits hasn't even shown up yet. You had a couple Mars movies. What the hell would she know about Zeta Reticuli? And she draws this map, and then a few years later, under hypnosis, they reverse the map, and it's Zeta Reticuli. How is she going to know about that?
Right.
So that was another thing about her story that really pulls me in. But when you're talking about what people saw 2,000 years ago, it goes back to what I said when you had a lamp in the 1400s, or if you had a car. Somebody say, they discover a car in 1450 in the mountains somewhere. Who knows what the hell they're looking at? They don't know what it is. They wouldn't even know. Do you touch it? What do you do? It doesn't move. They wouldn't know. Back then, nobody would have known what the hell they were looking at either. So and that all goes back to really having to have a seriously high threshold to prove any of this stuff, because everybody thinks there's a boogeyman around the corner, and there's not necessarily one. But there are stories that you just cannot just write off, man.
Right.
Writing off, that is possible 2,000 years ago. But today, when someone, with someone like what you had experienced, and I don't even know, with DMT, I don't. It's weird, Well, you experienced it. I never did, But when you think back to Roger Corman's movies, are you familiar with Roger Corman?
Yeah.
Yeah. Think back to The Trip, right? Everybody's popping shrooms and acid and tripping out and doing LSD. Is it your mind that goes into hyper gear, or is that opening up your mind, which then the energy from your mind is able to find another pathway, another dimension where you experience all of this stuff? It's hard to say. It's hard to say whether it's your imagination in high gear, or if you're really genuinely being transported, because whatever that is now open up a pathway for your mind to go elsewhere. And Roger Corman's movies, some of them were, The Trip being one of them, and Gas was another one. And then you think back to Alice B. Toklas with Peter Sellers, with the whole hippie culture and the drug culture. Makes you wonder about, what the reality we have now. can we really experience a different reality with different drugs? I'm not willing to try any of it, and I don't begrudge anybody who does. I really don't. And, to each their own, man. I have a great friend who swears by it, and again,
Yeah.
it's like, look, dude, you knock yourself
To
out.
each their own.
To each their own, man. I don't think any different of anybody. I drink scotch, so lots of people look at me like I'm a three-headed alien. Like, how the hell can you drink scotch? I'm like, look, it's got to be single malt, nothing but single malt. I don't want any of that JB shit from the '60s. No, thank you, Cuddy Sark. It's got to be Macallan single malt. It's got to be Bartholomew. It's got to be a real.
Macallan.
But
All right.
again, to each their own. And
Yeah.
when it comes to this disclosure stuff, I really, really hope that we can finally get to some truth. I hope the shit doesn't just blow over, because we're at a real critical point with it.
I don't.
We're at a critical point because it's so out in the open now. And that was the thing about, like, age of disclosure, right? A lot of people like you and I are deeper into this shit than the average person. You know what I mean? It's like a person who's into real rock and roll, they're Moody Blues fans. They're really,
Yeah.
but the average person's like, well, I like Aerosmith, I like Jimi Hendrix. But when you get deeper into the rock stuff, and all the guys who are into like Bowie and more of the, more the progressive stuff, or if you went into that Genesis or Rush or whatever, versus the average rock and roller who was just into the brand names. When
Yeah.
you
Surface level.
and age of disclosure, I call it, the UFO movie for dummies, because the average person, while we may know, and people who watch the show may be knee deep in this shit. God bless them, it's great. The average person is too busy with their daily living, so this isn't a focus of their mind. And when they do, it was produced to reach those people, not me and you, because we already know about a lot of this stuff. The average person had no clue. Think of how many people now, what do they call them, normies or whatever? How many the average people are actually talking about it and curious about it now. So you get hit with age of disclosure, right? Then you get hit with Disclosure Day, with Spielberg's movie. Like it or not, I don't care. I mean, I liked it. It was fun. I went there for the entertainment. Plus, I wanted to see what he used as the foundation for his story versus the foundation I used for my story. And it was interesting. It was cool. And then S4, when you had Luigi on last week.
Yes.
Wow, man. I mean, and I told you, like I said, Luigi reminded me, and not just because he's Italian, but he reminded me a lot of me because he's like, what do I got to lose? I'm going to give this guy a call, see what he says. Let's see what happens. I might roll the dice. If look, man, if you don't roll the dice, you can't win and you can't crap out. You just sit there and watch the game. I don't like to watch the game. I want to play it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Luigi is very much. I mean, I don't think a lot of people realize, like, they call it, like, because afterward, I didn't even believe it at first, but afterward, I started going back and seeing it, and people they call him like a grifter and stuff, and I'm like, he spent like almost $3 million total on this movie.
That guy worked his ass off. He put a lot into that because he believed in it. That's why. Because he believed, and and until you get a labor of love and put your time and your work into shit, you don't get an opportunity to shit on someone who did. Because usually the people who sit there and staring and passing judgment on a guy like that could kiss my ass.
And honestly, they're most of the time they're just jealous of what you're doing, because
it's a shallow mindset, though, Ty. It's a shallow mindset that does that, because they're not inquisitive enough to ask the questions or be curious enough to know about what his motivation was. You could see he put a lot into that, man. Even in the interview, he was very passionate about it. You can't pull off bullshit like that. He was very passionate. He worked hard. He didn't think he was going to get it. He got more than he even thought he was ever going to get. Lazard opened his door to him, opened his family to him. They broke a little bread with each other. I mean, man, you in all the years, you hope for something like that if that's what his goal was. And he not only achieved his goal, he surpassed it.
Yeah. I
And
agree.
it was a great interview, and it was, you know, a lot of respect, because again, I don't worship people, I admire achievements, and that's one hell of an achievement, especially to get the movie released, because as you and I both know, the movie industry, you know, Tubi will give you 47 cents for your movie. Great, my movie's on Tubi. Okay, great. Good luck paying your actors. And if you did a SAG low budget shit, you'll be eating, Starkist, sharing it with a dog in his tuba in the
Oh
alley,
my
because you won't
gosh.
make enough money to pay anything.
Yeah.
So he got that movie, not only to get it done, he got distribution. That is not easy to do, man.
No, it's not.
There's a lot of work that goes into, once you're done shooting, then you got to edit, and you got to get a distributor to believe it and get it distributed, and pray to God you can get your money back, so you're not living like some bust out the rest of your life. It's a lot of work,
There you
man.
go.
So it's a
There you
lot of,
go.
he deserves to be commended for that.
And that's not grifting. That is a
No.
return. That is like he said to me, which is, it's an investment with no guarantee of return, right? No guarantee of return.
Right.
He set out, made it, and then had to go out and, you know, display it. And through, that process, I know that
Yes.
process, but the general person doesn't know how hard it is and how much of a risk you are taking. He had told me this, I think in the interview, so I think it's okay to say, he had told me that if that movie didn't work, he would have bankrupted his company.
Hmm.
That's
Uh,
not a
and,
fucking
and
grifter.
no, and here's what people don't understand. Now that he's got a name, it's not like he came out of nowhere. He's been struggling, trying to make shit happen for years. He finally made shit. People don't just come out of nowhere.
Yes.
There's years of that roller coaster ride behind them, years of failure. It almost could have happened, and
I
maybe
know.
close to, and
I know. I know a couple people that came out of nowhere that make me question.
yeah, sure.
I know a
Yeah.
couple.
Well, there's a lot of installed people in many parts of the world. They are installed. But for
Right.
Luigi, what he,
No,
hats
yeah,
off.
not Luigi, for the
No, I'm
record.
saying it was hats off to a guy like
Yeah.
that, because, and this is the dirty little secret as in the entertainment business. Whether you're an actor, whether you're a writer, whether you're a singer, whatever, you ain't guaranteed to make $1. Okay, you need to appeal to massive amount of people to generate revenue, to generate income, to live your life. If people don't dig what you're doing, then you become a miserable artist that people are too
Pariah.
stupid. They don't like what they're just not smart enough to like what I'm doing. No, that's just it. If you don't relate to people, you're not gonna make $1 as an entertainer. That's it. That's the way the world works. I don't have to like what you do. You don't have to like what I do. Your life will be fine without me. My life will be fine without you. As an artist, you're not guaranteed anything. And my mom told me that. My mother was blessed when she was alive to be able to make a living as a professional singer, as a
Right.
jingle singer, background singer, studio and session singer. There's not a lot of people who are blessed to be able to do what they love to make a living. A lot of us are, struggling actors. I didn't want to be a struggling actor, so I really didn't chase it, because I didn't want to, as you know, I didn't want to go through the weirdness of the entire industry. And whenever I got a part in something, the people would look at me like I was, what is he doing here? Because I
Yeah.
didn't hang out and hump the legs of all the freaks at some theater with a bunch of other starving artists. I'm not willing to do that, man. And it doesn't make me or them good or bad, but it makes somebody who wants to look down at me because I choose not to do it. They look at me and go, well, you should be here and you're working on your craft. I'm like, I'm not chasing it, bro. That ain't me.
Yeah.
You're chasing it. Good luck to you. You may never catch it. And you're gonna be bitter your entire life if
Yeah.
you don't catch it. Me, I bounce around, I do a bunch of different things, and it's sad, man, because it's just there's only room for so much entertainment in people's lives.
And that is what the competition is for now. With all the social media, with all the with all the media, it's a game of how do we capture and keep people's attention for the longest amount of time.
And then the
So
algorithms are doing that now. Now the algorithms are doing that for people.
yeah,
You know, if you put something up in an 8 minutes, if it doesn't get 36 clicks, the algorithm already passed you by. The
yeah,
algorithm says, okay,
it's determined that this post is not worthy of engagement.
yeah, you talk about the ultimate miserable quickie. That's what the algorithm is. It's a sick, demented quickie. And it
And
pisses me off because if it doesn't, you can have the greatest content on the face of the earth. If the algorithm doesn't pick it up, you ain't going nowhere. That's a shame.
it
Just
is
like
a
here,
shame.
look on YouTube or Facebook. Okay, you can have 15,000 people following you on Facebook. You put a post out, you get nine, nine people engaging it, right? But then Facebook all of a sudden will say, "Hey, how'd you like to boost this post?" It's like, why do I want to? I have 15,000
They're
people
s-
following me.
th- they're selling fucking clicks to you.
Yes. Well, it's like, why would I pay you to reach these 15,000 people who already said they want to see what I'm posting? Why do I need to pay you for? I built your friggin' platform, you low life maggot. We
That is
all
one of the
built.
craziest things, by the way.
Yes,
I'm surprised that someone hasn't mentioned that sooner. You're the first person to bring that up. That is
I
fucking
was there at
crazy,
the
by the
beginning,
way.
Ty. I was there at the beginning, so I know what they did. That's why I always mention it.
Right. Essentially what they're telling you is that like the dopamine hits you get when like someone likes something and like
Yeah.
they're selling that now,
Yes.
essentially, right? Like, oh, we'll get, you know, pay $10 and we'll get, guarantee that you'll get this many fucking likes and
Yeah.
dopamine dings. Like, it's crazy. It's
It's
all
not a
right there.
look and think about this. The CPM, for those people who are watching, CPM is cost per mega.
Cost
So
per
yeah. So for every thousand, here's how it works. For the way it used to work for audio ad insertion when I worked with Lightning Cast, we
No, it's
actually
that's yeah, it's still this.
we developed the actual ad insertion technology with Lightning Cast back in around, let's say, 97, 98, which inserts the audio ads in the audio streams. And then that Lightning Cast sold out to AOL. I can't think, it was maybe 2001, 2002. You can look it up. Anyways, the CPM it costs per thousand, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
So say I got $10, and you're going to charge me $10 to reach 1,000 people. So I give you
Mhm.
$10. Your system keeps delivering the ads till I get to 1,000 people. That's it. So 1,000 people will get my commercial for $10 or my
Yes.
banner ad or whatever it is. Well, now the way this shit works, like on Facebook, hey, how would you like to reach 115 people for $22? Well, when you break that down, that CPM is astronomical. The CPMs have gone in reverse.
Yeah.
Not it shouldn't have gone up, but they have
Right.
jacked everything to the moon. And
Yep.
remember, you who are watching this, you're the ones who built we all built YouTube.
Yep.
YouTube basically started out as an illegal bootlegging operation. And because the record labels and the movie and the studios were all asleep at the wheel, the bean counters were too busy in the closet playing circle jerk with each other, they missed the whole thing.
Yes, they
And
missed
then
that
YouTube
train.
got so big because it changed, there was a paradigm shift in how media is now delivered to people. Same thing with Napster. They missed the whole book. All the record companies had to do was say, okay, this is cool. Let's all five the major labels. We're going to buy Napster, and this is how we're going to distribute technology. No, rather than do that, they fought the technology and got their asses handed to them
Mhm.
because it didn't matter anymore. They couldn't do anything to stop the technology because there's a million people creating all of these technologies that made things easier and better for people, and the gatekeepers couldn't hold it back. Same thing with YouTube. When YouTube comes along, all of a sudden people are uploading, you know uh, Bob Seger and video this,
Yep.
video that. So Before you know, there's 150 million videos. There's nothing stopping the stuff from going up yet, because you're talking 2004, 2005, when YouTube gets launched, whenever it gets launched. None of the systems were there to protect. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna people. You got 3 billion people now using YouTube. You're gonna tell them they
Yes.
can't use YouTube anymore and take it down? No, they had to create the deals. Well, based on percentages, per play per song.
Yeah.
Um, and people built YouTube. People built all of it. They built MySpace. They built the chat rooms and the groups and AOL, and we all sit here and pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
It's unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
Apple Music did the same thing with all the radio stations when we were in streaming, when I had Addicted to Radio and OneClub.fm. Windows Media, they hoard everybody out in the beginning. And then once they develop, and then once after the 2007 SWA Small Webcasters Act came along, they screwed every independent streamer, put their own stations in, and everybody got knocked out the box. It's the way they operate. Is
Very true.
you build the content, and then they turn around and stick the knife in your back, and that's what they're doing right now with the social media platforms. I worked with Hulu before Hulu was even Hulu. I
Right. Now
mean,
it's
they were
being absorbed by Disney, and Disney's
yeah.
dissolving it.
Well, look at Roku. Fox just bought Roku for 22 billion.
But isn't Fox owned by Disney as well?
No, Fox is Fox. It's own. They just bought Roku for 22 billion. And mark my words, look, this is the way the world works. You could either fight it or figure out a way on how to profit from it, because you ain't gonna stop any of this shit from happening.
Mhm.
The vertical drama platforms, there's about 5 of them that are tops right now. There's Pine Box, which is TikToks. There's Candy Jar. There's Real Drama, Real Shorts, Drama Box, a couple others. They're sucking in all of these productions, all these vertical platform productions. If you know what a vertical platform is, they're they 2.5 minutes of video,
Yep.
about 40, 50 episodes that hook you in. You watch them, you pay to keep watching them. It's about an $8 billion industry now within 3 years. So mark my words, in the next year or two, Amazon, somebody's going to come along and say, hey, Drama Box, here's $3 billion. We want to buy you. Guess what? All those people who signed production deals, you ain't getting shit. You get nothing, because you didn't sign the deal. If you didn't sign the structure your deal right, they own you. They own your production. Or you were just a work for hire producer and a work for
Yes.
hire actor who came in. You got paid the ULB, ultra low budget, whatever the shit is now they call it at SAG. You got screwed. And you, as a producer, they might have paid you 20 grand. But guess what? 40 of your jobs are sitting up on one of them platforms that just sold out for $3 billion, and they gave you a
Yep.
sub sandwich. You got a sub sandwich and a bowl of soup. That's what you got
Yeah.
for your work.
Yep.
That's it. And it's
Yep.
going to happen. It's the way it's going to
It's
happen.
well,
That's why I'm at the point, like with the vertical dramas, I would love to turn Hidden Powers Disclosure from Within into a vertical drama, but not right now. The book is coming out in the next month and a half, but I do have 2 other shows that I've sold to these platforms, and I retain ownership of the shows.
right.
Like
So
they
you're
said, look,
talking about like the master.
well, I
The ma-
own the show, so if they sell the network, they have a choice. Whoever buys it can buy the show from me, or they can just shed it and say
right.
we're taking it off the network. Okay,
Right.
cool, thanks. I got my money out of it. I don't care.
Right.
But I'm not
So
letting you build an entire platform like Facebook and YouTube. And a lot of people, if you're watching and you guys are into this production, you got to be really cognizant of this stuff. If you're in, don't let these people steal your work for pennies on the dollar, man. Don't do it to yourself. So
especially
that's what Atlantic Records did back in '48 when Ahmet Ertegun and his brother, they're driving around the South buying, whole catalogs from recording artists of music for 50 cents, 50 cents per song. So then they build up this huge catalog, right? And then Atlantic Records becomes, the end all be all. You got Aretha Franklin, you got all these other artists, and they own all of these catalogs of music because
yeah.
they went and bought it from people who were struggling. They gave them pennies on the dollar, and it made them worth billions of dollars.
Yep.
I don't begrudge anybody for, honestly, I don't, because you have a right to do that. But you should also have a right to know what I'm telling you, is be on the lookout for that stuff,
Right.
because you don't want to get screwed.
Yeah.
Why would you want to make somebody else 10 times the amount of money you make off of your work?
Exactly. Exactly. And that's the moral of it. Like the recording artist got fucked. The, you know, the writers get fucked. Like, anyone who's not the CEO and like, again, we talk about the inner circles, right? The closer you are to the top,
Yeah,
the
but
better
here,
off
look
you
at
are.
now. Remember, Ty, you and I, we can argue both sides of any argument, right? Now go to the artist side. Let's go to the recording artist, right? The record label comes to me as an artist and says, "Okay, we're going to sign you. We're going to give you $800,000 advance. Okay, I'm going to give you 800 grand up front. You're going to record in our studios. You're going to record here, and we're going to discount you in our studio. So instead of 150 an hour, you're only going to pay 70 an hour in
Yep.
our studio. So we gave you 800. Now you're racking up the studio. Then you tell then you say, hey, I need chicks. I need to do some blow. I need a big party. I need an entourage. I need limos. Well, the next thing you know, you got to go back to the label and say, hey, man, I need another 250,000. Now you are into the label, who is your banker. They said, what do you do? Would you give somebody $1.5 million, $1 million and say, just pay me back whenever you can? No, you would. Nobody would do that. So now the artist is in what they call recoup. So now you're in recoup. You owe the label $1 million. So before they even give you $1 from your sales, you got to pay them back in those sales.
That's what happened with Drake.
It happened with a lot of artists because
Well,
they couldn't
just
keep
most recently, but Drake, and I don't like Drake. I really don't
Mhm.
care for him. But so he was contractually obligated for like 3 more albums, right?
Mhm.
And he, instead of just like, over the next 6 years doing one album every 2 years,
You got enough shit. You got enough shit in the vault where you can spin them out in an hour.
he fucking put 3 albums together and dropped it all at once, took
Yeah.
his masters and went independent.
Mhm.
I
Well,
was
yeah,
like, that was
you
smart.
can do that when you're Drake. You
He
can't do
filled
that.
right.
You can't
That's
do
the
that, and I
argument.
can't do that, but he can do that. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right.
It's easy
Right.
to be a saint when you were a sinner before.
But and right now, like the artists are realizing that the masters are where the money is.
For the money, you
The
got to own your work. It's your
exactly.
work. You have to, and you can't put yourself in a compromising position where you owe them tons and tons of money when you can never get your work back. That's your work. So here's an idea: quit banging hookers, quit renting limos, quit drinking $65,000 bottles of champagne. You don't need to snort a mountain of blow every week to go do a party at some EDM festival. And why don't you try and hang on to some of your money? See, that's the other side of the coin. I went through this when we had SOS Records, and I had an artist who was lost in Russia, doing a show in Russia.
Oh God, that is
All
not a good
screwed
place
up.
to be
Yeah,
lost.
spent a ton of money. And it's like, look, okay, yeah, we're fronting you the money, but you're paying it back. I didn't tell you to spend $65,000 on that or 30,000 on it. You chose to do that. So you got to, we'll give it to you, but you got to pay us back. So, like I said, you can argue both sides. There's artists who are wonderful who never did any of that shit and got screwed too. Every situation is unique. Same thing with
Very much.
writers and authors. If you sign a bad deal with a publisher, anywhere into the arts, anywhere where you produce something that someone else is going to release for you, you have to carefully craft that deal so
Deal.
you benefit from it and you're never behind the 8 ball on it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So as we wrap up here, you've done obviously you've done with this new project, Hidden Powers, Disclosure from Within. It's you said it's coming out in a couple months.
Yeah, be out about right now. I'm waiting for the final cover, the graphic,
Okay.
and then I'll get the publisher and I are waiting, and then once that, then the publisher and I we get ready for launch. Hopefully end of July. I think
And
it looks like the end of July. It'll be
so,
paperback, hard book, ebook, and audiobook.
okay. And so this is a, I mean, what it says is it's Hidden Powers Disclosure from Within is it's a political sci-fi thriller that explores global control, alien disclosure, and the hidden systems that operate behind the scenes to control how we think, what we think, and why we think the way we do, and that it's all controlled. Is there anything else that you want people to know about the book before it comes out?
No, I mean, there's, originally I wrote this as a script, believe it or not. It was written as a script, and I didn't
As like as a
for a
movie
feature.
script
Yeah, I
or a
was,
TV?
yeah. I wrote it as a script for a feature.
Okay.
And then I was gonna try and crowdsource it, but something like this, I'm not raising $100 million. It's just not going to happen. That's how I felt. And as I looked at it, and I had some friends look at it, and I said, "Man, I really want to know more about this person. I want to know more about this person." So I got deeper. I figured, okay, I'm going to write this as a book because I wanted to get deeper into the characters, deeper into Sarah, deeper into Victoria, deeper into Pete Delmar, deeper into Wilhelm Schultz, deeper into these characters, deeper into the president of the U.S. at that time and the premier in China. I wanted to get deeper into their mindset. I wanted to get deeper into the arguments that I thought that I used the 1954 um, supposed meeting with Truman at Holloman with Eisenhower at Holland Air
I know.
Force Base.
I just recently had his great granddaughter on.
Yeah, Laura Eisenhower.
Laura, yeah.
Yeah, and
She's a trip, but
oh
yeah,
God, yeah, and she's very active on social
she
media.
is very active. But
Yeah, but
she
I used that as the foundation.
a
You know what I mean?
jumping point.
Yeah, like Disclosure Day has its foundation. I
Yeah,
had a foundation and I built a series of what if, because I thought to myself, holy shit, can you imagine if that really did happen? And that the Nordics and the Greys come to present their idea to not only Ike, but to the military brass, to the intelligentsia that was there, the industry that Ike would have brought with him to this meeting. And then, if those of
yep,
you who are familiar, if you're familiar with the Federalist Papers and those conversations when they went back and forth, the deep conversations in the Federalist Papers about the best way to govern. I thought, wow, could you imagine the conversations that these guys would have all had with each other in 1954 if this did happen, when they all went off on their own little corner to talk about, okay, here's what the Greys said, here's what the Nordics said. I thought, holy shit, those conversations would have been, I would have been given anything to be a fly on the wall for that one, you
literally,
know, because these
literally.
are deep, deep decisions that they're going to have to make that they know are going to affect the world going forward. Um, so I use that as the basis, and then I used a couple other things, sprinkle in a little this, a little that, and disclosure from within means that somebody on the inside who is so deeply rooted in the knowledge of everything is the one who discloses. So the disclosure, just like I believe today, it has to come from within. It has to come from somebody who it's unquestionable. And even then there'll still be question. So
Of
there's
course.
parallels between what we were talking about tonight and what I wrote into the book, if that
I
helps.
love that. So
And
it's arguably like you're taking real events and, then filling in gaps of what ifs.
yeah, they call it speculative fiction.
Yeah,
And
speculative fiction. Yeah.
yeah, and what I did is I actually had two trailers made. The do you have time? Can you run that one trailer?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Where
Yeah, so go all the way to the bottom of that page, the Salamato Hidden Powers page.
there's two videos.
Yeah, if you go all the way to the bottom, let me see. Hang on, I'll tell
I
you which
got it.
one.
I got it. Yeah.
Yeah, the one that's on the right, teaser trailer 2.
Okay.
You'll
Da,
see
da,
teaser
da.
trailer 1, teaser trailer 2.
So, and then you want trailer 1?
No, trailer 2. Teaser
Oh,
trailer 2.
all right. Here we go. Da, 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 da. I'm gonna put it full screen. Oh God, I'm getting all turned around here.
I can see it on the screen.
That's what I wanted to do. Get the bar out. Okay. Let me know if you can hear it good.
Okay.
Can you hear it?
For 70 years, they called us paranoid. Told us to trust the system, trust the science, trust our leaders, while they buried the truth. Until investigative journalist Sarah Moore uncovered what they never wanted us to see. On October 17th, 2026, whistleblower Victoria Sterling stepped forward and proved every conspiracy was real. Every single bit of it. The suppressed cures, the hidden energy technologies, the silenced inventors, the cures for diseases, the answers to our greatest problems. All buried because those in control believed we needed to be managed. In 1954, 2 alien species arrived. One offered partnership, the other offered power.
The video further now.
Used to treat humanity like
Did it freeze?
property.
It's okay. Yeah. It's yeah.
$1 trillion missing. 70 years of lies, control, and engineered suffering finally exposed. They say the truth will set us free. Will it? The world erupted. People were terrified, turning to each other and on each other. Economies imploded. Institutions crumbled. And then, even with undeniable proof, millions still refuse to believe it. Decades of conditioning didn't just blind people. It made them loyal to the very powers that owned them. They defended their cages and their owners because they believed their cages were freedom. What happens when we learn our entire lives were manufactured? When the heroes we trusted betrayed us? When those who were supposed to serve us served themselves? When we finally realized that wars, diseases, and famines were engineered by those who profited from it all? Can we survive the truth if we were never meant to know about it?
Some of you are ready to fight. Some think we're the enemy. Some no longer know what to believe. I understand.
For 70 years, we were conditioned to mistake slavery for freedom. But together, we will make sure that never happens again and build a bridge to a better way of life with liberty,
Wow.
justice, and freedom for all. When all the conspiracies become reality, will the truth really set us free? Hidden Powers, a new book by Sal Amato, scheduled for release in 2026.
See, that's what I wish that Disclosure Day was like, where it actually explored the disclosure, and it wasn't.
Yeah,
that was
not to do a spoiler alert.
yeah.
No, I agree
But
with you.
that's great.
Yeah, I agree
So-
with you. That I agree. That's but I'm happy too because that means all right, I'm on the right track because mine's completely different, so I'm good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
His was his, mine was mine, and covers.
We should
100.
definitely look into making that like an actual feature film one day. That would be a good feature film. I think you
Yeah,
got. I mean, the way you originally wrote it as well. Like now it's got source material from the book, but that's great. I think this is a great starting point, and I think that would be a great read.
Yeah, I was really, I did about 30 edits of it. By the time when you're writing, you're forever changing things. It's like, okay, I don't like this.
Naturally.
It goes this direction. And And I kept emailing, I would email my mom, and then I honestly, I had probably had about 70 beta readers. Once it was finished, I had about 70 beta readers, and they were from all different walks of life, all different uh, points of curiosity. And I said, look, don't sugarcoat it. If you think it sucks ass, tell me. I don't, you're not going to hurt my feelings. When I was an actor, you go for 10 auditions a month, you're lucky if you get one every other month. So
Right.
don't worry about hurting my feelings. It's not going to
Right.
happen here.
Actually, it's
So-
more constructive if you actually tell me the
Yes.
truth.
Absolutely. It's like, and everybody seemed to come in unison. And other people said it's not really my thing, but man, it was a really cool story. But it's not really my thing. Okay, thanks. But by the time I got to the final edit, my mom had gotten really sick, and that's when things started accelerating. Because then I thought I was going to have to put it out on my own, but then I got a public. I was querying agents, and I gave myself to the end of January of 2026. From October to January, I queried a bunch of agents, and if I don't land an agent, I'm going to have to release it on my own. Fortunately, there was a publisher who saw one of the trailers, got interested, and I landed a publisher for it.
Oh, wow.
But my
Great.
mom had passed away on New Year's
Ah.
Day, and never got a chance to see the final edit.
So sorry.
Thanks. And I'm hoping, I'm thinking, okay, Mom, so this is your way. You got me a deal. Thank you. Now I got to do something with it. Or I could
Right.
just be imagining shit too. I don't know. But I
No,
know what
no,
I want.
no,
I
no.
know what I want to think.
Yeah.
So,
I
and,
actually, this show was born from my mother's last moments on Earth. So I am right
it's a
there
hard
with
thing
you.
to go through, Ty. It's hard to go through.
Her death date was 4/3/21.
Oh,
And
wow.
in the room, I was holding her hand while she passed. And then this orb thing, I don't know if it was real. I don't know if it was just me imagining something to ease the whatever was happening. But I saw this ball, softball sized thing. And it looked like you ever looked up a highway on a hot day and seen that dispersion blur?
Yeah, yeah.
So ball that up into like a softball. And so it crosses my field of vision and then hooks. So it does the length of the room. So it crosses my field of vision. And then the width of the room goes out the window. And then I can't see it any longer because it's just now it's masked by all the environment outside of the house. And when I looked back, my mother is gone. Like she had gone. So did I see through the veil for a moment? Did I witness her leaving? Did I imagine it? All I can tell you is it was like her one last way of pushing me. Because at the time I was doing the podcast, but I wasn't doing this podcast. I was doing still in the film industry. I was sober, but I wasn't happy. And it was almost like she was also there for my UFO sighting. It's a long story I don't want to get into, but she's always was my North Star. Even during sobriety, like even during all that, she was always my North Star. And it was like her last nudge. She always had this saying, and she was like, it was a variation of like, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. She always had this variation on it where she would say, you got to find the questions that you want answered and then chase it down. And it was like her last way of saying, that the questions you have, fucking go chase them. And now, so when she took her last breath, unfortunately, Total Disclosure was born. Because it wasn't, I mean, honestly, it was a couple days later that it came to me, but it was because of that I was like, fuck this. I'm leaving Hollywood completely behind, and I'm going to go I'm going to go, and now I'm here. I've been in situations, Sal, and I'm not trying to brag or boast or anything like that, but I've been in situations. I've walked my mother I have ashes of hers. That should be right around here, actually, somewhere. Oh, they're right here. So it's a necklace, but the necklace actually broke. But I've worn this necklace with her ashes in it that my sister created or got made after she passed. What I walked her into the halls of Congress. I've walked nuclear controllers from like the 1967 Malmstrom case. Robert Salas, who's a good friend of mine. I was able to get a meeting with Nancy Mace, who chaired the hearing that day. And I yielded my time with her, and I allowed Bob to in turn brief her on the 67 case. And no one in 50 years or 30 years, it was 50 years ago, but he's been out for 30. No one in 30 years had ever thought to get him in front of a sitting member of Congress to tell his story. So, I've been, and then it just, as long as I keep doing the next right thing, I'm in the next right place. I'm in the next, you know what I mean? So she put me on this path is ultimately what I think.
And that, my mom was my biggest fan, aside from my wife, of course, but, and that's, they put you on there. I think your mom put me on that path. Definitely. I think my mom put me on my path, and the same thing. It's up to you now. You go do it. You know what you got to do. Go do it. I got you. Here's the direction. Go that way. Go do it.
Right.
And it's weird with my mom. We didn't see it coming at all. And she got really, she went in on December 11th. And it's weird here because we're both in the entertainment industry. We never got a chance to spend a New Year's Eve with each other. Were you able to at least spend New Year's with your mom at any time through the years?
Yeah.
You see, my mom, she was either working or I was working. So we never, not since, even when I was like 5 and 6 years old, she was still singing club gigs. So I was with my aunt.
Right.
And my cousins when I was a little guy, so never really got to spend New Year's with her. And on New Year's Eve, it was my brother and me. We're at the hospital, and I'm sitting on one side of the bed. She's in hospice. And I'm thinking to myself, what kind of fucking joke is this, man? This is some cool shit. I never get a chance to spend a New Year's ever with my mother. And here I am, New Year's Eve. I'm with my mother. And this is probably going to be her last day. So it's not like we could have even done anything or celebrated. So I figured, well, at least I'm here. And then at about 5:05, we had dozed off, and the nurses came in and said, gentlemen, your mother is gone. She's passed. But I got to spend a New Year's Eve with her. So it wasn't the way I planned it.
Right.
And, but I'm thinking, once I had, I'm sure she's read the book by now.
She got an advanced copy.
Yeah. She got to read it when I wasn't there, but when I was writing it, I would send her a different edit. She'd say, "Oh my God, Salvatore, which version am I reading now?" I'm telling her, this one, I didn't like these chapters. I pick up at this chapter here because when, I'm my hardest critic, man. I look at shit that I've done and people think it's great or wonderful, and I look and I go, "Are you nuts?"
Yeah, you're like, no, that sucked.
Yeah, because I'm very hard on myself, and as I said, I don't feel like I've gotten to where I want to go, and I'm hoping that this will finally, well, I'll
Push
feel
that
like
threshold.
I achieved something, When I became a stockbroker years ago, in another life, believe it or not, Ty, I passed my Series 7 and my 63, and I only did it because I refused to believe that people who went to college were any smarter than me. You know,
Hey,
that
bucking the
was it.
stereotype.
And I passed my Series 7 in a blink of an eyelash. Same thing with a 63 and the 22. And that was a whole other life ago. And I felt like I achieved something. I was 23. I'm a stockbroker. But then I was very disillusioned by the entire industry. Like anything, man. I don't operate well with piece of shit people running things. I just don't. I get to the point where I open my mouth and tell them what I really think, and they're not used to getting a verbal assault like that, and it doesn't work out well. And then I just go my own way and go into another area. You know what I mean? It's hard to take
I get
orders from
that.
it. It's hard to take orders from idiots, Ty. It really
Yeah,
is.
yeah. Well, I'd love to have you back on a panel or just another one, talk about the book when it comes out.
Oh,
You
absolutely.
you're a really fun guy to bounce things off of, and I really appreciate being able to flow with the discussion. So Sal, you always have a open door here at Total Disclosure. Where can people find the book? I do have the link in the description below for the website,
Okay.
but
Okay.
where can people find you and keep up with everything you're doing and yada yada yada?
My website is salamato.com. You'll see everything I'm working on, what I've worked on. On Instagram, it's Sal in Chicago. It's weird, Ty. I never had an Instagram for myself. Like I run the WBM. You had a WBMX in Boston for years by you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But originally WBMX was here in Chicago, and that's where all the house music stuff started. Was it at W102.7 FM BMX back in the '80s with house, and the Hot Mix 5 and the mixes and all that stuff started at BMX. So I used to run the website. I run the group page, and I've always had group pages because that's how I would use my group pages to market. You know what I mean? So I had the B96 group page.
Yeah.
On TikTok, I've got my back in the day group. It's got about 25,000 people there. But I never had an Instagram for myself. So I said, oh, it's like, holy shit, I forgot all about this. Kick my own ass. What a moron. So I started up an Instagram page about, 2-3 months ago. And that's Sal in Chicago. And on Facebook,
awesome.
it's Sal Amato 711. All those links are on my Facebook page at salamato.com. And the book will be available when it does come out, hopefully by the end of July. It'll be on Amazon and other digital platforms as well.
My man. So, to everyone watching and listening in the future, again, with the audio side, I mean, every episode seems to keep breaking the records of the ones that we're doing previous, growing at a breakneck pace. Unfortunately, the algorithm on YouTube just
it's killing a lot of people, Ty. You're not the only one, brother. Other guys that I've done, you're not, and you got guys with big shows.
I'm continuously crossing guests over with like the biggest podcasts, Rogan.
Well, they're sucking
Danny
a lot of the algorithm too. They're sucking up a lot of that algorithm, boy. It's like, especially in the summer.
Yeah, Jason Giorgiani's going to be coming out. Lenville Logan. They've all done the Rogans, the Jesse Michaels, Rizwan Verk. Luigi did Rogan with Bob Lazar. Like, I'm crossing over so many guests with you know what I mean? And it's just wild to me.
And you do a good job, Ty, because I'm going to tell people who probably don't. We were supposed to do this last week. Things got crossed up and tight. We all got tied up. So I get a message from you. I know, maybe in like 5. I just got back from my office and I get a message. Hey, we're going to do blah, blah, blah. I said, oh, shit, I just got back. Let me go take a shower. Eddie Munster. Let me go wash behind my hooves. I'll be right with you. So I go scrubbing up, down, get ready, come back. Hey, I'm ready. And you were very well prepared. Sometimes it's hard to, you did a great job, but it's hard to be prepared. And it's nice though, because we get to have a conversation. We're not just talking about my book. We're talking about, like, we've known each other forever, and we haven't. But it's because we vibe in the same mindset. We have that same mindset. Yeah,
on the same frequency.
same frequency. Yeah,
Call
yeah,
back, clip
yeah.
it, flip it.
And tell people, and we want, like what you, be curious, man. Don't take anybody's word. Don't take shit from nobody. Be curious. Track shit down. Don't think somebody's your guy. They may not be your guy, and you'll be rooting for a team that ain't yours, man.
Yeah.
You got to be curious about every piece of shit that's babbling to you every day about what they're talking to you about. And it seems like guys like Lazar, I try to find holes in Bob Lazar. I don't find many. I don't know. He's a likable dude. And he's very, just look, this is what happened. This is what it's kind of hard to make shit up like that. It really is.
And retain detail on
that has never changed. Again, like Betty and Barney Hill. Never changed.
Yes.
It's been the same shit he's been saying for years. And people are just discovering it. And to me, a guy like that, that's the kind of guy I want to hang out with, break a little bread, have a nice steak over at Roots Chris, have a nice little,
have a scotch. Hell
nice
yeah.
Scotch. Yeah, maybe even a little dirty martini with some blue olives. Nice. And Luigi too. I mean, I'll tell you, Luigi, I'd like to hang out with him one day, have a slice.
Yeah, we went to the restaurant down the street, and before the night before the show. So when I fly someone in, we'll usually fly them in on a Friday. That night, give them the option, hey, you can just chill in the hotel. Or if you want to meet us at the restaurant, me and the producer's an retired Air Force guy. So, very, very just with it. And we go to the restaurant. Luigi was the most fun person. That he had me laughing so hard that I couldn't breathe at certain points.
He didn't have you squirting, did he?
No, not squirting, but he had me almost pissing myself. So maybe. But he is just one of the most likable people I've ever met. He's in it for the right reasons. I can tell you're in it for the right reasons. And it's always fun to have we don't have to agree on everything. This is a common misconception in this day and age, is if we think different, we're enemies. And this is not the case. You should be able to, disagree on certain things, but be able to discuss them in an open forum where you can still walk away and say, agree to disagree, shake hands and go, we have different views, but that doesn't make us mortal fucking enemies. It's crazy.
Well, because it's so pervasive now, Ty, that people have seen that other people do that, so they become fanatical and do that. You got family members that don't even talk to each other because of you can't think like that. You can't think like that.
I know people have their mothers blocked on Facebook.
It's insane.
Yeah, that
honestly,
me.
Ty, dude, look, people like that, I don't want to know them, man, because something is seriously wrong. I got friends that we disagree with, but my door would be open to them at 3:30 in the morning. I don't have to. You don't tell me I'm a piece of shit for thinking what I think. I'm not going to tell you you're a piece of shit for thinking what you think. Exactly. You got what you think the way you think, and that doesn't mean me and you have to be enemies. But people, they get into this fanatical tribal shit. They can't help themselves. It's so bizarre.
The clubhouse. We got to be part of a team. All right, everybody. Thank you again so much. Again, people on the audio side, please rate and review the show. As we have gone independent, we lost a lot of our reviews as we had to start a new RSS feed. So if you can help, it's totally free. You have your phone in your hand already. You're not going to put it down anytime soon. Take the fucking 20 seconds and rate and review the show, please. It's free. It takes 20 seconds. Same thing on YouTube.
Right, exactly. I mean, most people,
Right.
their first sexual experience didn't last that long. It's not really all that. You can do it.
Ah! Oh my God. Oh man, you make me laugh.
And if it went longer, I want to know how, man. I started in 7th grade. I don't know how the hell that was even possible.
Nope. That was
Sorry.
that
I was
was
just thinking times.
no. That was a quick experience for myself as well. You know, if one thing I was, yeah, well, I won't go there, but make sure to like, share, subscribe. If you want to, you can help us keep the lights on. You can become a member on YouTube or Patreon. And as of right now, I have 3 episodes. So I'm always 4 or 5 weeks ahead of what is debuting. So as a member, you get access to, I just upload the episodes all at once for the members. And, you know, sometimes it's a week advance, sometimes it's 4 weeks in advance. So it's a great little system we have. As we grow, we'll start doing members only content. Right now, any guests that we do fly in, we do a bonus segment with, and that is only for the members. So we are trying to broaden that that specialty for people who do go the extra mile. But it is in no way, shape, or form mandatory. That's how we just keep the show free, guys. Thank you so much. Stay humble, stay kind, and most importantly, stay vigilant.